Welcome back, video heads. Today we have a jealous, glowering, stabby treat for you as we're covering Fatal Attraction, and we're doing so with our first ever show guest. We have Israel Luna with us, who is a friend, director, important in this case, event community organizer, a musical artiste of this past year, and more.
An international man of mystery. A man about town as well. Full disclaimer, also my boyfriend.
Yeah,
I don't want that to unduly, influence the quality of the commentary, but yeah. Anyway, my name's Tommy.
I'm Kyle.
And
I'm Israel. Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
well, thank you for being on the show. Israel, tell us what film are we talking about?
We are talking about my favorite movie of all time, Fatal Attraction, Michael Douglas, Glenn Close, Anna Archer. Yeah. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Tell me a little bit about it. What's your connection to this movie? When was the first time you saw it, and were you just set on fire by it then, or did you come to love it over time?
Great question. I was a teenager. I think I was about 14 or 15, and I had rented it at the local video store. And I remember I rented it, and my uncle and his, oh my gosh, I think during their separation, he was living with somebody else while he was separated with my aunt. And so I remember it was with them, and they said, oh, do you mind if we watch it? Because I wasn't able to watch it until, after school or something. I can't remember. But I remember specifically them watching it in the other room, and I just heard all this commotion and all of this drama happening. And I thought, oh, I have to wait till tonight because I have to do my homework or something. I can't remember. But I was dying to see it. And then I asked them, what was it good? And they said, oh yeah, it's really good. And then I sat and watched it, and I was blown away with everything about it. And I thought, oh my God, this is an amazing film. And then while I had it, back in the day, I'm sure y'all are too young to know this, but when you would rent VHS copies, you would rent the VCR as well. And so if you rented it on Friday, you could keep it until Monday because the stores were closed all weekend. So you could keep it. And so I think I watched it 4 times that weekend. So that's my connection to it.
It's such an old thing to have done. I remember I used to rewatch movies and reread books all the time because we didn't have just an endless fire hose of content coming at us. And so you could sort of really appreciate and think on, some of that. So that's very interesting. So were you saying these people were having marital trouble while watching Fatal Attraction, though? Is that what I'm to understand here? Because that is...
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, I've never thought about that, but I guess so.
That's interesting. The director or the writer, sometimes they talked about when I was looking stuff up, they were some people came up to me and were like, you saved my marriage because you scared the shit out of me of cheating. I would never cheat now because of this movie.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. I guess you could watch Train Spotting and think, I'll never do drugs again. Yeah. Ooh.
But another thing I think I liked about it as a kid was I was a huge horror fan, especially, with all the late 70s, early 80s horror coming out. It was the heyday of Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, et cetera, Halloween. And this one was different because it almost stepped into the realm of horror for me. And I thought, oh, I love that because this is this adult film, and it was horror-ish.
Yeah, that's...
Sure.
There's so much to just love about this film, but it's adult horror, not in a pornographic sense, but it's horror that happens with no supernatural element of any kind, and it's just the horror of social complications and whatnot. It
was horror as in it could really happen.
Grown up horror. Yeah.
And exactly. Your life could unravel based on one decision type stuff. If that decision kept coming back to, needle you and call your house at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
All those things.
Well, and unravel in really operatic fashion too. So yeah. Just
quite nakedly, yeah. They do love to put that in the middle there with the Madame Butterfly stuff, which we'll get into.
Yeah. Well, should we? Let's just dive in.
All right.
Okay.
Let's take a look at it. So before we get to any actual things happening in this movie, I'm already hooked. I'm watching the credits because as I sit there, lightly intoxicated, I'm greeted by this crawl of credits names, and I see a few names that intrigue me, so I've written these down. There's a Peter E. Berger, who has comma Ace after his name, and I like to imagine he introduces himself to people this way, like Peter Berger, Ace. Ace apparently meaning American cinema editor, but
Yeah.
I would introduce myself as Ace. I was that, and my name was Peter Berger.
Ooh. Kyle is red hot in the interpretation, like right out of the gate.
Anyways,
Wow.
the next one, there was a Melbourne, which I found delightful.
Come on. What are these names?
That is pretty
okay,
awesome.
okay, now I gotta look.
Melbourne.
And then there was, just in the mix of these credits, there was Screenplay by James Dearden based on his original screenplay, which is an odd thing to see. But actually, come to find out, this movie was based on this dude, James Dearden. He wrote a short film, like an 80-minute like British film or something called like Diversion that was over there. And when Paramount bought the rights and like his script to Fatal Attraction, they bought up and destroyed all of the copies they could of that movie Diversion, reportedly, so they could do this. And so it's funny, I guess that's their nod to it being like, screenplay based on this, based on the original screenplay, like something like that. And so it's just a funny thing to have seen too. But
Interesting.
So are you saying that it was 80 minutes and it was considered a short?
I see, that's what it got me too. I was like, that seems okay. Like,
Yeah, because now, because from as far as I can remember, like if it was, I think 70 or less, it was considered a short. But now I know here, as of like the last 10 years, a movie 70 minutes or more is still considered a full length now.
Yeah. Just
So it's just kind of
different time.
The times, yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, found
yeah,
that attractive.
well, I mean, I guess they had to get your theaters back then. They couldn't give you just a short one. But yeah, it was kind of like a dry run of Fatal Attraction, reportedly. And so it's just kind of pretty impossible to get your hands on that copies of that Diversion movie and I looked this up because I was like, is that true? That sounds ridiculous. So like a studio would go and like try to destroy copies of another movie, another studio's movie. But it is, apparently.
Wow.
So neat.
Neat. All right.
Oh, 50-minute. Okay, it was a 50-minute film made in 1980.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Me, that was a little brain mix-up. Made in 1980, a 50-minute film. That is why it is a short film. So, not that long.
Got it.
Okay, anyways,
Sure.
we can talk about the movie now. I had my opening credits fun with old Peter Berger and Melbourne.
Yeah. So I didn't. I didn't notice their names at all. Now that I think about it, but the opening scene.
Makes movies for you. That's what I mean.
But of other things you appreciate about the opening scene, it's a pretty evening, New York City, skyline. But there are water towers everywhere. Water towers, like the movie's already trolling you with the motif of water. There's water in the horizon. It's in the distance, but it's there. It's just without even really knowing what's going on. The film's already kind of like working you, just kind of setting up these metaphors. So yeah,
Twilight, sunset, opening type situation we see.
Yeah. And then we get to the opening scene of Family Life for the Gallaghers. And again, just this opening scene, like we have the water towers in the distance, and then we have this scene, and again, it's just rich in all the main ingredients of the film. Like they're all just in this scene. We have Danny, Michael Douglas. He's just kind of beset by family. Like family's just kind of whirling around him. Like you got a dog and a kid and the wife, they're all doing their thing, and he's just got his headphones on, trying to not be distracted and work. And like the phone rings and he walks to it and he trips. Like he's physically, like literally tripping in the midst of family. He's not sure on his feet. The phone is ringing. Like that's going to be a big element soon, right? So we got the phone going. You got
to pick up.
Yeah. It's Hildy. That's a name that went out of fashion, isn't it? But also again another motif. He's trapped on the phone between two women, right? You have his wife in the background, and then some woman on the phone who's captured his attention as he's stumbling through his family. It's just all the ingredients. They're just laying out all the ingredients. You don't know what the recipe is, but here are all the ingredients. It's just, yeah.
Everyone's wearing white. I'll notice. We're talking motifs, cleanliness. Everybody's nice and clean. Nobody's stolen any.
And also their child, Ellen. I mean, there's a lot to talk about with Ellen. And Ellen's very. She's a tomboy, at least by her look, right? She seems like she has a very kind of tomboyish haircut. And as we're going to discover in this film, there's lots of panic about gender ambiguity or uncertainty.
Yeah, the first time I saw this movie, I thought it was a little boy. And
so did I.
5 minutes in, when they call her Ellen, I finally know. I wrote things like, the young boy's loving the slime situation on the TV.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this person just gets blasted on the fucking slime.
Did either of you watch You Can't Do That on Television?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, no, and anytime I've seen anyone watch this, they all, and if I'm watching it with them, every single person asks me, "Oh, is that a girl or is that a boy?" Every single one of them. So I'm wondering.
I was positive it was a boy.
Yeah.
I apologize for misgendering children in this case or something. Yeah, it's just it is such a striking haircut I've seen on so many boys, and so it's just mostly
and a haircut similar to her father's. Like it's just a really
Michael Douglas-y haircut.
Yeah, just to really further the gender ambiguity. This is their daughter Ellen, but who looks like a boy version of her father.
Well, and they don't have her dressed as like a boy or a girl because she's just wearing like a large T-shirt, maybe like from her mom or her dad.
Androgynous thing.
Yeah.
The whole movie. Not as her little outfits pop up, but it's just interesting. Yeah. 'Cause,
yeah. So for me, like the opening, Tommy, when you were talking about that, to me, I think what they were wanting to do, or the director, is they want to let you know what life was like before it got crazy. Like it's just a regular family with nothing extra happening. This is where they live. It's a quiet, peaceful part of town. As you said, the sunset's going down. A lot of silhouettes through the movie, by the way, and this is one of them.
Yeah.
It's just the silhouette of the skyline. And then you go in, and it's just, family stuff. He's tripping over the kids' toys. He's getting ready to go somewhere. We don't know where yet. His wife's getting ready. And as Kyle, as you said, everyone's kind of clean, but
the child's just watching the slime thing.
Yeah, but then she goes into the bathroom to put on her mom's makeup, and the mom's like, "Oh, I have to wash."
Before this, I noticed they are being all in white, like I said, and so everybody's clean, and they're just watching this, like not like a one wave of slime, like 3 waves of slime just coat this child, like some sort of laundry-based Hunger Games version of the Capitol, something where they're like, "Yes, good," and then the white laundry at home.
But also, it's safely on the other side of the screen.
Yes,
it's this mess that's right now safely away from the family.
Right.
Again, they're trolling you a bit.
It is. Yes, that's interesting. They're going out somewhere, presumably to dinner. We're gathering as we're sort of gaining context from the scene because they're not really just like hitting it on the nail on the head type something. And so that's why he's getting up and he's like, "Are we gonna go?" type stuff. But Ellen's not going. She has to stay at home with Jane Krakowski, her babysitter.
Yeah, exactly.
In her second acting role ever, apparently.
Yes, because I remember when I saw that scene, I thought, "Oh, that's the girl from Vacation. She's the white trash girl from the crazy, podunk family." And I thought, "Oh, I hope she has a bigger part," and she didn't.
I bet she would love if you introduced yourself. Like, "I know you as white trash girl."
Oh my gosh, that was a great role. I remember her mixing the Kool-Aid with her hand. I mean, hello. Or with her arm.
Was that her? Like Maloney Curl or whatever
yes.
going on about?
Yeah, she's the one that says, "Yeah, my daddy," like where she French kisses and says, "Yeah, my daddy says I'm the best at it." That was her.
Wow. Well, shocking to see Jane pop up. But they are being a bad influence on this child because, Michael Douglas at one point says, like, shit, and then Ellen's, like, skipping down the hall going, shit. Like,
yeah.
Which is funny.
Yeah, it was the mom. It was the mom.
Which, I don't know if I'm wrong about this because I don't have it recorded until like an hour and a half into this movie that the mom's name is said and I only got it through a subtitle, I feel like. Like, I don't know if that's a part of this movie. Maybe you guys' notes are different, but they just don't say her name for quite some time.
I
If that matters. I don't know if they don't place a lot of emphasis on her in that way, type something. But there's a lot of Alex, and I didn't hear a Beth for like ever in this movie. But his name, her name is Beth. If you hear her refer to us later, because I wrote down in my notes just like
Good
the mother,
catch.
the wife, the whatever. For
Wow, you caught that in The Mummy too. Jeez, wow. Damn. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Jeez. Maybe they leave her unnamed, and it would make sense.
And you know what's interesting about that is when you're writing a screenplay, they say in the exposition as you're writing, you say woman with dress, and then when they speak you put woman in dress, and you speak until someone says their name, and then you start referring them as their name for that reason, because they don't want to accidentally have a movie where you never say their name and you don't realize it.
Yep.
Good point.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I bet it was purposeful. But yeah, I was curious about that because I was most of the way through and I was like, I was still writing down like the mother of the wife, and I was like, how is that possible? But she just was part of the focus for the story. Or I mean, like,
again, like his family's kind of this background character, kind of like just more like an effect, like kind of like a weather phenomenon that's in his house, in a way.
Could go away or something.
Yeah. So let's see. We had opening scene, and then they're off to a
Michael Douglas's work function.
Yeah.
Meet Glenn Close for the first time, sort of.
It's a self-help book based on samurai philosophy, and they have
sushi.
Yeah, sushi chefs, and
Later to come racial impressions about this book
because it's the 80s, the Reagan era.
And if we think back, the menace of Japan was very much a motif of the times of Japan Incorporated and the mysterious Japanese culture creeping in and whatnot. It's just the good old days when that's all you had to worry about, great. But no, there's some of that, and it's again, it's a theme in this movie too, right? You have I guess the strangeness of Japanese culture, I guess by way of Madame Butterfly,
certainly,
we're getting a little taste of it right in the beginning of it.
But in the scene, it seems like they're making fun of it. Like they don't want to be there. They're making fun of how they nod every time they're greeting.
And just the premise of the book. It's kind of it's like samurai wisdom in the modern era for a self-help guy. Okay,
and you can see how excited the bosses for the party, where they're just like, we're here too.
And also they're lawyers, and that's another thing too. They're only adjacently attached to this entire function, so they can be a little snarky about it. So
understandable. So we meet his like schmuck best friend, again, black hair and glasses. I'm sure he has a name too. It's in there somewhere.
He's one of these actors who's like in a million films, and I always forget his name. What is? I'm gonna look it up.
We kind of see him as just like
he used to be on he was on an HBO show called Not Necessarily the News.
Stuart Pankin.
Pankin.
Stuart Pankin. He's in Curb Your Enthusiasm for a couple episodes.
That's probably where I've seen him.
Oh, he appeared in
right now.
Okay. Oh, and Arachnophobe. Yeah, he's been in a whole lot of things. Yeah. So anyway.
But yeah, he's the schmuck who's not as lucky in love. We meet actually Alex through him, kind of trying to hit on her, and she basically is like, "Never in a million years."
Yeah.
Something. He's like, "Wow, bitch!" Like kind of just like nagging her afterwards or something. But
just gives him a withering stare, and then walks off. Yeah.
And. That's just kind of all it is for a little bit until we later see Alex at the bar there, type something, and then when he runs into her later, they're chatting, and that's when he gets to know her actually. It is like she finds out she's only worked at this place for a couple weeks. He kind of gets flagged down by his wife to leave, but he doesn't do it immediately because, he just kind of is intrigued with this woman, and we see Glenn Close look after him as he walks off finally with his wife, being like, okay, well, see you later, stranger. But she's also smoking indoors in the first. It's just another very 80s thing to have happened, just in the middle of this office building and bar or whatever's happening here.
Yeah, so this meeting to me, I think, is really important to talk about because the the film is very careful on how they introduce her. So with the schmuck buddy hitting on her and she doesn't give him the time of day shows that she is not promiscuous like that. She does not just sleep with anybody. She's a lady. She will walk away like, oh, you're trying to hit on me. Oh, and it doesn't mean she wasn't necessarily attracted to him. It's just not her style. And then when he goes up to her on the bar, she's just there smiling, and she's not necessarily even being flirtatious. He just immediately apologizes, and they have a laugh because he's like, sorry about my buddy, and she's like, it's okay, it happens all the time. And the moment she asks him, oh, is that your wife? Because she's like waving him to leave. He immediately says yes. He's not trying to hide anything, and she is, as you said, she's intrigued by him. But that's it. She didn't force him to stay. She didn't say don't leave. She was just kind of like, oh, that was sweet. He's kind of sexy, and then that was the end of story.
Yeah. Again, like every scene in this film is so like rich with like meaning and like what it's like setting up and whatnot. And even this scene, it starts establishing that she will not be pursued. She is a pursuer. Someone
she's looking after him. Like you said, after that, she's like,
Someone hitting on her. No, that's not her mode. Like, in some ways, she's divine masculine. Mm-hmm. She is a man in a sense of where she is positionally in like the sexual game. She's the hunter.
And the reason they had that conversation is because they had just shared a kind of funny yet unpleasant experience. So that's what made them look at each other, and then they laugh and giggle and then start talking because of the crazy friend hitting on her, and she blew him off. So there was that, because I think if that hadn't happened, they probably wouldn't have even spoken.
Yeah.
You've got a natural in. I mean, that's just something you learn. Yeah.
True. And also it's not that Danny Gallagher, Michael Douglas's character, was even pursuing her.
No, neither
such.
one of them. I think
he's just not that kind of character either. But she's intrigued because he is presenting himself at a bar. Like he is introducing himself in that context, private, separate, away from everything, secluded, right? And so that context, I think, is what really intrigues her, because like, why is he presenting himself in this way? And I think that's the hook. That's what kind of like intrigues her. It's like,
well, because
like he's oddly available. Like,
he must be mine.
Well, because when I was watching, I remember I wanted to carefully watch, their reactions in that scene, because the moment the wife shows up, because at that moment she doesn't know if he's taken or not, and when she asks him, "Oh, is that your wife?" I thought, is he going to hesitate? Is he going to? And he didn't. He's grabbing his drink and he's like, "Yep," and he drinks it, and she says, "Oh, well, you better run along then." So there was no secret. He's not even trying to hide it. So it's not like he was out looking to.
In that way, she has known throughout this stuff, or will know rather, as it goes. But so they get home. The couple leaves because the wife honestly was like, "Let's get the fuck out of this party," pretty much the whole time. She's like, "This is a stupid book thing. Why are we here?" But,
she's even less attached to it than her husband is. So
they get home and we see the best boy Quincy, a little dog needing to be walked.
It's so cute.
Tail wag they got out of him there.
Another great moment. Like he's like finally alone with his wife, and he's they're finally going to have a private moment. But oops, the dog, womp womp, and then
the child in the bed,
and then comes back and the child's in the bed, womp womp. Just once again, family life. He's just beset.
And the wife's like, "It's just for the
festooned by family."
And he's like, "How do we go back now?"
Exactly.
Definitely denoting the lack of sex Michael Douglas is getting in this scene.
Exactly. And it's not like he hates his family life. It's just that's the way it is. It comes with the territory.
Look. Definitely note it down.
And that's the thing. Like they never, at no point does the film ever show his family in a way that seems pejorative or nasty, or there's never any stink on how he feels about his family. Like it's just maybe malaise, just something kind of vague. Like, and they kind of hint at it. Like we find out they've been married for 9 years and all this stuff. But it's just, there's some reason why keeps on ending up with Alex. There's some reason. And so it's just he's into a 9-year marriage. You find out that they're headed towards a suburb, and you can just kind of think, ooh, boy, he's on a one-way track to just being just fucking married in the suburbs. just ensconced in family forever. And it's just
got it.
Yeah.
Child, dog, wife. Like, he's got the things. And so,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. There's just I don't know.
He stands on the precipice because we learn he's
Yeah.
moving into the suburbs essentially from the city, and so that's his moment as well. Here is that he meets an intriguing city woman who's a career girl that is not his wife, and is probably we'll figure this out. But if she's willing to have sex with him, would probably be an upgrade from the wife because we're to presume there's a little dry spell or something here with the kid.
Again, we have to guess that maybe there's some malaise. Again, it's not like his wife is not attractive. She's a beautiful woman. She's charming. There's just nothing wrong, quote unquote,
Yeah, it's just
about
married
her
life.
or his family.
Some strange, some literal. I mean, based gutter term, but literally, like sometimes you want something different, some strange shit.
Well, I mean, he's still a man. It's somewhere in the midst of him being kind of goofy and kind of, he's a non-practicing lawyer. He's kind of befuddled in his own family life, but he's a man still. It's still there. It's still there, and his family is going off to Connecticut. I'm assuming that's or maybe just upstate. But yeah,
they're joking, but it's like it's at least 20 minutes away or something.
Yeah, so the wife and the child are going off to inspect the house, and so they're away, and just basically like 5 minutes after they leave, suddenly.
Yeah. Well, they're going to the grandparents, I think, or to her parents, and that's the sex. That's the area. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So he sees the family off. They're now in the country. He's in the city by himself.
And it's a Friday.
Yeah. He's not like, you don't see him thinking to himself, I'm gonna go fuck a random woman. No, he's just.
Quick interjection. When Ellen's getting in the car, the mom is like, Ellen, spit it out, and holds her hand out, and Ellen spits the gum out in her hand, and I like physically gag, and I'm like, why did you do that? And like, why did this toddler have gum if it can't go in the car anyways? Or like, what is the whole?
Can we see why Danny's maybe a little primed? He's primed without even knowing it.
I can't imagine how unsexy it is to see your wife just like a toddler spit gum in your wife's hand.
He is primed to have an affair, and like and I think that moment really just like that's to seal it for the audience. It's like they know there it is. That's family life just right in his face. So he's at work. He's brought in to consult.
He's his boss who's still in the neck brace. I don't think we mentioned that at the party, but there's some like running joke that
some raunchy speculation as to what caused his neck injury.
His neck brace injury was like from having sex with his wife, and like it comes up again later. Yeah, I think now like he asked him how really happened to his boss, and he gets told very cute, which like kind of lends credence to that rumor, right? Like
he didn't deny it.
Yeah, he didn't deny this situation. Like, why would he say that if it were like I fell off a ladder? I mean, I'm very cute. I fell off a ladder. I'd be like, no. So I don't know how that got found out and spread around the office, but what an interesting, I guess, injury root cause for this braced man to be with some aggressive face sitting.
So and then also lurid, the subject of the book they're talking about. It's about a woman who alleges an affair with a sitting congressman, right? So affairs are just in the air, like that. That
energy is there for sure.
Yeah, the vibe, is going.
And where Alex pops back in.
Like once again they're reintroduced. Like again, kind of unexpectedly to both of them. They didn't think they were going to see each other again. Yeah, and it's just like, oh hey, what do you know? Here we are once again. To Danny, it probably just seems like a coincidence, but as we're about to discover, Alex has a very poetic and narrative-based view of the world. her world is dramatic storytelling, and so we can perhaps, in thinking about it, we could see how this would be. She could see this as like fate, as something far more meaningful than just the coincidental, right? Like, oh wow, this is destiny. Oh my, the guy who was like noble and like almost knightly to like, oh wow, he's here again. This means something, So
that's an interesting thought from her perspective. Like Glenn Close did say she talked to like 3 psychiatrists before playing this person, and basically kind of developed what this character is with all the various attachment needs and something else. For some reason, this kept coming up in interviews I was reading. They were like, I think the character was like, less as a child or something. They were telling her, and she's like, okay, I guess. And then went through, but there's certainly things going on here, and so there are attachments that may form quickly, or, there are reasons or things that, Dan here may take and not think much of.
Yeah.
Alex does, because there's this difference between NSA and not here. Literal no strings attached versus I have all the strings and I'm going to hook them into you with my knife.
Yeah.
So she shows up at this meeting and, there's, like you said, there's the planets kind of aligned in her head and possibly in his too, like, oh, here's a familiar, fresh person that, is attractive. And then, of course, he bites into that bagel, which gives her an excuse to be like, hey, wipe your nose. So there's another little shared moment.
A little cream cheese schmear moment.
Yeah.
Here.
So, all of these things.
A little too long in each other.
Exactly. They all mean something. She's not easy.
Yeah.
Everything just happens to be, happening perfectly.
Yeah. But she's looking for signs. Like Danny mentions the character of this book having an affair, and she like perks up. Like he said that just to her. Like that was like their special moment when he said that, which, ooh, okay. But she reads it like that. Again, she felt like maybe it was a sign that they're in the same room, and now she needs to look for signs. Oh my God, another one. He mentioned having an affair. Oh my God,
Well, it did open a window to her mentality, because when they were talking about the congressman, they said, so you've interviewed this woman that they were accusing, did she? And she kind of stops and she kind of looks, out into the room, and she says, yes. She says she did, and they said, do you believe her? And she says, I do believe her. And she didn't say it with judgment. She said it with like, I could understand why she did it.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. She's not judging this woman at all. She's thinking, well, the woman was in love with him and they were in love with each other or something, but there was no judgment from her in a bad way.
Yeah. Again, the vibe's just in the air for her, definitely. But also, again, Danny's just kind of primed without realizing it. He's primed in a way that he doesn't understand, but Alex maybe like over understands. It's again, between the two of them are two rational people.
Next thing is almost pure romance and what happens in the sense where they go downstairs and it's pouring, and they're like, coffee, but then it's still pouring, so it turns into dinner, and they're just sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but this is where Glenn Close runs in high heels in the rain in the scene, which I need to highlight because Queen, like, what the fuck was that? Like, she's sprinting in high heels in the rain.
Well, she's kind of masculine. She's sure on her feet in the way that Danny is not. The opening scene is him tripping. Yeah. And she's running in high heels in the rain, And
again, with the planets aligning, she's there, he's there, but his umbrella goes inside out. And so now he's like, what am I going to do? So she goes over to save him because,
and then we'll get a cab. Oh, no, the captain of love. Oh.
Exactly.
But also, the opening scene, we had water towers in the distance. Well, Alex is water. She is water. Well, yes. Well, that's our show, everyone. Thank you. Well, sure. Her symbol is disturbed water. Disturbed water in all its forms, whether it's because of heat or because of wind or because of her womb or blood. Disturbed water, and here Danny is in the midst of a storm, and here she is kind of to save him. Like he is in her element. And it's kind of the culmination of the scene before. He was kind of hapless. He had like a little dab of cream cheese on his nose and didn't realize it. And she caught that. And now here she is again saving him once again because he's not prepared.
But before they go to coffee, they also try one more thing for him to leave, is trying to get a taxi, and the taxi just drives right by them, and they're like, "What are we going to do? Hey, let's get coffee." So
he's not an effective male. It's just, again, like she is the divine masculine, like, it just in terms of the way that she engages, her choice of verbiage, her response, just how she's always kind of one-upping Danny, like so we get to the scene where they're having a drink together, and Danny's talking about like his practice of law, and he mentioned something like really important. He does not practice law. He advises on law. He doesn't litigate. He doesn't actually bring cases to court. He is not an active lawyer. I guess he's a passive lawyer. And again, just to kind of pursue like a structure here in the film.
Yes.
And they're talking, and he's talking about how he specifically does not practice family law, which, boy, that's fucking true, isn't it? As we're going to discover, he doesn't practice family law worth a damn, like, at all.
Because it's a funny story that he's giving to her about his mother. Asking
how he weaseled out of helping his mother too. Just to get
punchline.
Just to get a sense of who he is. Like he is a lawyer through and through. He's throughout this film, he's trying to figure out just what are the implications. What did I commit to? What am I obligated to do now? What is our mutual understanding of this deal, of our contract as such? And here it is, like, just plain as day. But Alex, again, the constant one-upping of him is already beginning. They have this.
Well, she's smoking at the table again.
Yeah.
Like, she just is doing this. Like,
you don't like that indoor smoking.
Saying, you talk about her being in her element. She's just like lit up and like leaning on the table, and she's asking him things like, "Are you discreet?" while saying she's discreet, and so like she's very much in control of the situation. Is the thing, while he's the uncomfortable one, being like, "Oh, should I do this?" And like, I'm not leaning over like body language with a cigarette in my fucking mouth.
Well,
like,
exactly. She's leaning back. He's leaning in. She's just casually smoking while he's trying to fumble getting a waiter to acknowledge.
Well, she's in charge. She
is very much in charge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Crazy. I have in my notes how calm she is in his presence versus when she's apart from him. She's losing her fucking mind.
And I think it's because she has chosen her prey. She's like, I'm going to get this man.
Oh, totally. Because she didn't know who he was a few days ago, and obviously wouldn't be losing her mind being apart from him then. It's like she's very attached.
She is very much in the midst of reading the tea leaves. She has seen signs, and she keeps finding them. Not that Danny's really giving them, but again, her way of engaging the world is very narrative based. Yeah. She's looking for symbols.
Well, this conversation I think is just so well written and performed by them, because she says, so your wife, he's already told her that she's out of town, and then she's like, oh, okay, so what are you doing here with a strange woman? And he's like, oh, I don't think having coffee with a strange woman is bad. And then she says, not yet. And then he kind of gives this little giggle like, tee what do you mean? So he's kind of enjoying the flirtation.
Not bad. No, she jokes, it's not against the law.
Oh yeah, it's not against the law. She says not yet.
Even more relevant.
Yes.
And then this leads to this really just awesome moment just in the film, based on just nothing more than subtle wordplay. She asks Danny, "Can you be discreet?" Or like asks like, "You're discreet?" He says, but she says, like, are you discreet? Well, discreet, that's two different words in modern English, right? You have discreet, right? You essentially have two different words. You have the first one, creet, which means careful, to be careful. And then you have the other one, CRETE, which means separate. And so she's asking him two different questions, but he says yes. In this regard, she bests him as a lawyer. Like he agrees. He basically is agreeing to a contract without understanding the terms. It's like, even as a lawyer, she's better than him.
Because he's thinking with the other head now.
Well,
he's definitely turned on, and this whole thing gets very breathy at the end. The scene ends with him, Michael Douglas being like, "I'll take the check."
And this is a very important part in the entire movie and the controversy that happens that we can, get to later, of course. But, when she says, can you be discreet? And he says, yes. And then she pauses and she looks right at him and says, me too. So they've kind of made an agreement there. Like, we both are going to be discreet, whatever she might mean.
Yeah, the thing, they've made an agreement, but about what? But what have they agreed to? They've potentially totally gone past each other, like basically saying yes to the same sounding word, but with totally different implications depending on how you're reading it. Like,
there's no timeline in it because he may think I'm discreet for the weekend, where she's like, this is a discreet ongoing situation.
Again, what are we talking about? Is he careful for the weekend or separate? And that's the thing. Those are totally different. Like, and the answer is neither. He's neither. He's not separate. He's still married, but he's also, he says maybe he's saying he'll be careful. Well, I guess he was definitely thinking that he would be careful, but also perhaps he didn't do that either. And so, like, he didn't even know what he was agreeing to, but he's perhaps about to fail on both, right?
Yeah.
So in that regard,
is he?
Yeah. So
we cut to them making out furiously, and Michael Douglas yanking down his tidy whities to show off his Michael Douglas. Just a dash of pubes as he picks Glenn Close up and puts her on the counter to fuck her eye.
Oh, again, another time when you think that he's about to dominate her, but doesn't. He has this look on his face like, oh, yeah, I'm about to stick it in. Oh, I'm about to stick it in. And he does. And she's just like, she just kind of laughs. Like, it's delightful. And like, look on his face is just like, she was just going to like yelp or scream or something, like it's the biggest cock she's ever had. Like, no, it's just delightful. Moving right along.
Well, and also this movie, I don't know if it's like really the one that sealed the genre of erotic thriller. I think it was. But this is, he puts her up on the counter. There are dirty dishes and he's just letting her have it. And her arm comes behind her and because she's trying to keep balance, and it turns on the sink. She grabs the water and just like puts it on their faces as they're making out. It was like a hot scene. We had never really seen stuff like that before.
Tommy's water notes, because this is a very watery scene.
Again, like the storm, she's the one in charge. It's her element, and she has the power in her element. And so you have disturbed water again. You come in through the faucet, being spritzed on their faces, like, again, like she's just swallowing him up into her element.
I can see that.
I have a lot of question marks in my notes here. She then turns the sink on, starts dabbing water all over his face, then both of their faces, wets her nipple. Is this a thing? Like, there's just so long. I was like, I feel like I'm aware of most fetishes as an adult, but like, what is this water thing happening?
Maybe they were trying to keep cool. I don't know.
This is the non-sports part of water sports. It's like,
heterosexuals, would you please write in and tell us?
Yeah.
Do you do this? Do you all have sex with sink water? Please let us know.
And I remember I was questioning it too, but I thought they're just doing things. They're just like so into each other.
Yeah.
It's there, so let's use this water. Let's put it on ourselves.
Question, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing to me? Like,
yeah. And then he takes out her boobie, and then now he's like sucking on her boobies, and they're just into it. They're just
nipple now.
Yeah, it's kind of primal.
Exactly. That's
her,
a good word.
Like whipping out her exposed breast as they're just covered in water and passion. It's definitely a passionate moment, and especially up until this point, he's just kind of not like a sad sack family man, but again, the malaise, there's just that tinge of malaise, and now like he's just kind of like, crazy passionate. Like, geez, where is this coming from? It's like, oh wow, yeah, it's like, wow, yeah, this is him still. This is the other side of him.
But then the other cool thing that adds to it and adds a little emotion to it is once he pulls her off the sink and then they're stumbling over to the bed, he's struggling to take the rest of his pants off because he hadn't even had, and so they're giggling about it. Yeah, they're giggling about it and they're having fun. She still has her legs around his waist and he's struggling to do that. She's laughing, he's laughing, and then he's just like sort of stumbling over to the bed and then they laugh some more. So not only is it hot, passionate sex, but they're laughing and it's just becoming this experience that she's just loving.
In my notes I have, then they go finish fucking on the bed away from various plumbing. He carried her there, possibly to escape non-consensual sink play.
Yeah.
It's just scary. He's like, let's just move away from this sink situation.
The sink's really disturbing you. I'm picking up on.
Water and sex do not mix.
Kyle, is the sink in the room right now with us?
I don't know.
Sink or gum.
Like water and soap.
Or chewed gum. Sink or chewed gum.
Sexual sink isn't real, Kyle. It can't hurt you.
Have sex in the shower made of water, but she's just like rubbing on his face. She's like getting sink water like ad hoc, just like loose change sink water. She's just got her running through her fingers like
Why don't you just rub a doorknob on his face? Why don't you? Great.
Yeah. Probably all this fluoride RFK can't protect us from in the 80s.
Oh my God, it's madness.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they fucking then very passionate. It all happens, and afterwards they're in bed, and she says how great that was. To which Michael Douglas responds, "Oh, thank God, thank God."
Yeah.
Which is a weird response, right?
Oh, no, it's understandable. He probably worked his ass off, is all sweaty, and if she didn't comment, he would be like, I have failed. Once she said that was good, he's like, oh, thank God, because I worked for that.
But like, thank God, as in he's like on a one-way track to Maryville, and like here's like a moment of passion. Oh,
yes,
thank God.
It's just weird though. Like, I don't know. I interpreted maybe he was really needed to blow it, or like is he just expressing Christian thanks for the affair he just had? Like it's also in lunch.
Also that too. Like he's like suddenly having passionate sex, and perhaps after not having done this for a while, and it's like, am I going to even be able to get hard? Am I going to stay hard?
Being unsure of himself.
Am I going to be able to like ejaculate at all? Like I don't know.
Or mainly please her.
Yeah. Who seems like a powerful woman, for sure.
Yeah, so he was definitely happy that she commented.
Yeah. But and also, I love the way that they're framed in this moment. Glenn Close is right in the center of the frame, and Michael Douglas is pushed off to the edge. Like it again, she is dominating everything about the engagement. Just even the frame. She's dominating the frame itself.
Very much so. She now has plans further for the night where he's like, "Oh, we're doing stuff again." Like, yes, we're doing stuff. And so in my next notes, I have salsa, salsa, salsa because they went salsa dancing, and then he's sucking her nipple again in the elevator.
It's like they're going out to a loud busy dance club. Oh, this is the horror element. Okay, this is the adult horror part. Because this is my horror film.
I loved his reaction because it was funny. Like, obviously, he's not doing this. He has a family, like, he goes back to and stuff. And so his wife's not going to be like, let's go out, like, dancing at night or whatever. And so it didn't even occur to him. Like, when she was like, are you, like, awake? Do you want to go do something? He's like, oh, like, I guess you could do stuff, like, at this time of night. Well,
something that, again, that scene at the restaurant where the interesting double meaning of discreet comes up. Something else he says after that is that, well, whatever we're doing, you're going to be the one deciding. Oh, he kind of says that like,
that's up to you. Yeah,
like,
it's up to you.
Well, but again, this could have two different meanings. Either he's saying it because, well, he's a man and he's ready to have sex, and of course his decision is that they're going to have sex because he's a man, or it's she's the one in charge, and of course she's going to make all the decisions. And in fact, that is what is
Well,
meant.
she even responded to him, and she said, "I haven't made up my mind yet."
Yeah.
You know, she was still thinking about it. But
Again, there's just multiple moments just in that one scene where you have all these moments of double meaning. Just where depending on how you read it, if no one's correcting you, you could just casually totally see only your side of it, and as such not understand what's happening, which is exactly what they both do in their own way. Like they both totally they have their heads up their own asses, and they just don't see what's going on because they just seen like their own narrative of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And getting to the dancing thing that you said. Okay, so I know that when I meet someone, and this has happened before, when I meet someone and I'm crazy about them, if they want to go out, I don't want to go out. I don't want to go dancing, but because I'm trying to impress them, because it's fresh and new, you go and you dance your ass off till 3 or 4 in the morning, and then you think later on, why did I do that? Well, because I was trying to impress them, and I wanted to have a great weekend, and I wanted them to just have nothing but great memories of me. So that's kind of how I saw this, where he's like,
Totally.
I just banged you. It was great. Oh, fine. I'll go dancing. It's not something I normally do.
This family's out of town. Like, I get it. He's got the freedom and space to do it. Like, who cares if he's hungry in the morning or whatever else?
Yeah.
But also, again, she's in charge.
Oh, yeah.
She is deciding, so she wants to go dancing, and so gonna take him dancing, not go dancing with him.
Yes.
Take him dancing.
And so then when they're done, so he's like cuddled up to her.
It's her trying to pull him into her world, like the school world, as opposed to the family world type something.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sometimes literally physically pulling him along as she's like racing ahead, and he's like catching.
At the end, when she talks to barely named wife, at some point she's like, "What are you doing? You're trying to steal him away from me and from the city and from like my life, essentially my single life type something, or my like connection with him."
Yeah.
And so she understands that and is very comfortable in that, where he's not. It is an uncomfortable decision for him, but he makes it because that puss is slamming, apparently.
Well, it's an unfamiliar decision. It's not uncomfortable. He's clearly having a great time, but it's unfamiliar.
Sure.
This is how he was back in the day.
Yeah. Next thing you know, they're in the elevator and, sucking on her titty again. Well, it's because, she's coming back. They're still, she's been rejuvenated now after that great bang.
Yeah.
And I think he's kind of enjoying all this attention and this throwback to how he used to be. So she's like, have you ever done it in an elevator? And as you just said, Tommy, she pulls him in, closes the door, and now here they go. She's giving him head in the elevator. And now this, in the directing, this is, again, a very silhouette kind of shot. The elevator slowly going up. There's steam coming from the street or whatever. Lots of steam.
Barron saw warehouse elevator.
And also high contrast lighting.
Oh yeah.
It's either dark and shade and no light, or it's like very like high chroma color, very well lit. It's either or when you're with Alex.
Yes, you can see the lights coming in to the elevator. It looks super sexy, and there's one shot from an aerial shot where as the elevator's coming up, they're just banging from one side to the other. And I don't mean like having sex. I just mean pulling and kissing and making out, like slamming against the sides, and it's like wow.
Yeah, their lovemaking has been it's been passionate, but again very primal. Like in the elevator, the elements we saw the first time, they had passionate love. We're seeing him again, but they're just a bit more garish and tacky this time. Her whipping at her breast and him sucking at it this time much more like a child. Like it comes across very much more like he's suckling a breast as opposed to sucking on a titty this time.
And then she hits the pause on the elevator.
It's like blowjob time.
Blowjob time. Which to me, when I first saw it, and even today, that sort of represents, hey, teenagers do this, college students do this. Yeah. Doing risky things, like somebody's walking by while they're getting a blowjob. So it's bringing back all of these, like the things he misses by being married.
Again, this film, it's just full of these moments of ambiguity where something presents itself, but it has two very different ways that it could be validly interpreted. And in this moment, he's like a kid again, except that is he like a college kid or is he like a child. He's like having sex in public in an elevator, but he's also suckling a breast. And so who is he? And he even has this moment where he's just kind of looking off into the middle distance as he's getting his dick wildly sucked in the elevator, just kind of like a brief moment of like, where am I? What? What's happening here?
Because he has had and settled down quickly with a family life and dog and this or that. And so, again, when we talk about Glenn Close or psychiatrists and talking about being molested type stuff as a child, like she has very free sexual behavior, be it with it public or be it very chaotic or like passionate lovemaking type stuff. She's doing all sorts of things during sex type something, but she's extremely sexual and comfortable with sex as a person type something, and even up to kink type things, whereas we get the feeling is a bit more restrained, and so this is more adventurous for him type something, and just a very unfamiliar, again, use that word, situation for him to be in, because he's not out in the city nightlife. Usually he's not doing this. He's not sucking titties out in New York, like,
in an elevator.
Well, not anymore.
And in an elevator.
Maybe not anymore. I mean, I get the feeling that this is like he's having his last hurrah before settling into married life.
It's a midlife crisis coded.
Exactly.
Again, he's literally on the precipice of moving to the suburbs and like all the things, basically sealing the deal, like climbing into a casket of like suburban dad.
Here's your dad bod. Here's your 2.8 children. Exactly.
Right. Nobody's gonna have this with you in the future or something. Like he might feel like it's his last chance at something like this. Frankly.
Well, as far as he's aware, his wife is coming back that morning. This was just that. It was just some wild one night stand that he'll perhaps remember the rest of his life. But that was it. It's time to go back. Time to turn him back into a pumpkin,
So because they finish up, they were in the elevator, and then they walk back to the apartment, and there's a tiny little clue or a foreshadowing, which is they walk up to her front door, and she takes the key from the top of the whatever it is and opens it, so we know now, hey, okay, that's where she keeps her extra key. And then they go in, and I guess they have sex again.
Well, the next thing was to walk out in the morning, so we at least insinuate he certainly stayed over, but they probably fucked again.
The implication is that they're having round 5 or 6 at this point and stays the night, and then
he got so much sink water on his face at this point. We can see what was behind that closed door.
And he is doing the slut walk of shame back home. Yes. Again, the gender roles are reversed.
It's moist from all the humidifier sex they've been having.
Oh yeah, he hasn't showered. I didn't see him shower at all. No. Oh yeah, because he showers later.
She would like that, wouldn't she?
So he slut walks back home.
Walk of shame.
And we find out because he gets home. First of all, he hits the dog with the door.
The poor dog was waiting. Like he didn't come back, and no one came back. No one was there. And like,
someone needs to feed me.
Yeah, exactly. Poor dog.
Asks if Quincy is okay, and then goes about his day listening to answering machine messages and showering before taking care of the dog still. Like, he literally could walk the dog now or feed it, but like, no.
No, he's tired.
And in the shower, we get more Michael Douglas. I should point out again.
Well, again, he's more gender reversal. It's his exposed body. It's his vulnerable body, and you get a little glimpse of it. He's the woman in this. Not to be too heavy-handed about this.
But he was also the stud back then, so we wanted to see his butt too.
Well, he was a stud, but he always played these roles where he was a man in over his head in the face of a powerful woman.
Yeah, that is true.
He played that character very well.
He played that very well.
Over and over again. So,
Yes, dog not okay. He needs to shit, Michael. Like,
yes.
Take the dog out. You're gone all night. Like, your affair is already hurting those you love. Dear Quincy.
That is true. It's already affecting his regular life.
Exactly. And also, he missed a call from his wife. We find out that, like, to everyone's surprise, where was he? And in the way that she says it too, what happened to you?
Yeah.
What happened to you? Just again, that question, you could read that 2 different ways. Just kind of casually like, where were you? Why'd you miss it? Well, also, but maybe also just like, Jesus, man.
Well, no,
What the hell happened to you?
Well, I think the writing is very clever here because she's asking that just like in a general way, but that line with his guilty conscience, he's like, "Oh crap, it's more biting," and she didn't mean it that way. She just says it like, "Huh, what happened to you?"
Yeah,
And he's like, "Ah."
he keeps the way the film is shot and the way it's written, and like you meet Michael Douglas's character at the beginning, and he is arguably the main character. But again, just all these moments where, because of the wordplay and the double meanings, the idea that there is any kind of objective perspective on this is just constantly getting challenged. Because her question, just on paper, I don't know, it means whatever, but to him, it's like, oh fuck. Like, yeah, and again, like we're just kind of like Alex reading signs that may or may not be there. There's maybe just no objective reality.
And I don't know if we've ever been there. I know I have. I mean, I'm sure you guys have. Like the moment you just say like one tiny little lie, like, "Oh, I went to see so and so," and then now they have follow-up questions. So, now I need to lie about all these things, but sort of not really. Yeah. So when she says, "Oh, well, where were you?" and he's like, "Oh, I went and saw his friend, whatever his friend's name is." Yeah. "Oh, how is he?" He's like, "Oh crap."
He's like he always is.
He's like he is.
He's just that guy.
Yeah.
Same old that guy.
Yeah, because you're thinking, what's he gonna say? See, it's already begun. This.
And we find out in this conversation with his wife on the phone that he not only hates dogs, but he hates rabbits too. And the joy of children, because he doesn't want his daughter to get the rabbit she's asking for.
Yeah, she wants a
I
rabbit.
don't care about Quincy. Fuck that dog, and that doesn't want to rabbit either. But he more importantly finds out that his wife and daughter are staying another day up there. What could that mean for Dan's penis?
Well, I think at that moment he's not really thinking anything with Alex. He's just thinking, "Oh, okay, good, all right. Well, stay another day."
Yeah. I honestly, my feeling is that he was about to move on. He's gonna work, and he's gonna catch someone work and just kind of mill about the apartment and all that. But then Alex calls him at his apartment.
Now everyone has to know, this is the 80s. This is before caller ID.
Yeah.
This is before cell phones. It's like the only way you know who's on the other line is if you answer the phone, and it could be a relative or anybody else.
And that's very true.
And if the person you don't want to answers the phone, you just breathe heavily into it, like in this movie.
Yeah, there's a degree of menace that is kind of a product of its time. However, someone calling you when you have not given them your number, to this day, that's still exactly the same disturbing gesture. It's just, wow.
Phone books, we threw these things in people's houses, and we're like, "Here is my number and address."
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
And it's also when someone slides into your DMs, it's exactly the same kind of thing. You are far closer to me than we agreed upon, and what do we do about this? And it's just as uncomfortable and the same kind of menace.
And not only that, but in this case, the moment she calls him, that next morning, he's there at his house. Not only does it shock him that it's her calling him, because what does she want? But she called at his house. His wife could have been there. Somebody else could have answered the phone. So it's immediate. I'm at this point, I'm putting myself in his shoes thinking, okay, if I had done that, okay, I did it. I want to forget about it. How dare they call my house just assuming that I'm going to answer? Like, it's already like stepping on, going overboard.
Now, see, this is how you react to this. How Danny Gallagher reacts to it, though, is very different. The second that he picks up the phone, he looks behind his shoulder, even though he knows there's no one else in the apartment, and he starts talking like this because he doesn't want anyone to hear him. There's nobody in the apartment, but he's just doing it reflexively because he's acting like he did something bad, and arguably,
he did.
He did. He let her believe that he had checked out of his marriage. That he fucked her 5 or 6 times and was just with her to begin with the second that his wife left town. And so she perhaps validly has concluded, he's checked out of his marriage, so why shouldn't I pursue him? Why shouldn't I be this forward about it? You know? So I guess otherwise, he would perhaps be outraged. He is at least he's honest.
Yeah.
He's honest, I
And
guess.
she does give one of my favorite
So.
quotes in the movie. He answers, and he's like, "Oh, hi, Alex. What's up?" And her response is, "I woke up. You weren't there. I hate that." I'm like,
true, yeah.
oh.
Because it's so playful, but it's kind of aggressive.
Yeah.
It's kind of aggressive.
Yes.
Yeah.
I woke up. You weren't there. I hate that.
He
Yeah.
kind of tries to
Yeah.
disengage in the call too. He says he has a lot of work to do. He says he has to walk the dog, which yes, you do. He still has not walked Quincy.
Now he does. Oh, the dog is there about to shit himself.
Yeah.
Better care about my dog.
Now you care about Quincy.
Yeah, exactly.
Get you out of some.
Yeah, and it's at this point where you start feeling that maybe there's something up with Alex, but I just got to take a step back and think, Danny's kind of a shit. He's kind of a shit. He's kind of a shit, and I don't know. The first time I watched the film, and I think anyone could be forgiven for thinking, "Oh yeah, Alex is nuttier than squirrel shit. Like she's totally crazy, clearly crazy, and that's the end of it. Case closed." But watching it a second time, I'm just kind of wondering. I don't know. Danny's kind of a shit. Well,
let me ask both of you right now. So, have y'all had so far in your life like that one breakup, as ridiculous as it was, where you feel ashamed of how you handled the breakup and that you just kind of went a little nutty?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I will give no other details except to say that yes.
Kyle?
Oh, really?
No?
I haven't had too many. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, yeah, because I have two. So everything Alex is doing in this movie, I can understand why she's doing it because I wanted to do those things. Every single one of them. And
I definitely pursued people that ultimately I either knew in my heart of hearts I couldn't be with, or I wasn't going to be with me or something, or whatever.
Yeah,
a very I don't know, unattainable or sort of just out of reach option type something where she's going for here.
Yeah, but like you're saying, Tommy, there are certain things that he says that I can relate to because a person would say a tiny little something to keep me hooked. And if they hadn't have said that, I probably would have just kept distancing myself, but they kept doing these tiny little things, or I was grasping for those. So, but we'll get to those later. But yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, she did. She keeps pushing with things like, "Oh, I'll come cook you a homemade lunch. Well, bring the dog. If you have to walk the dog that you don't give a fuck about."
And he's like, "But I have to work. I'll work here. I won't bother you."
She won't take no for an answer. And then we find Dan and Alex in the park acting like little giggling school children.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let me comment on this because of the crazy previous breakup. So when you first meet somebody, it's almost like, I don't know if this is going to make any sense. It's almost like having, going and visiting relatives that you've never visited before, and one of them might ask you for $20, and you're like, oh, sure. And you realize from the rest of your family, they're like, don't ever let that person borrow $20 because we know them. You do not. So in this case, I think when she's being pushy like this, he finds it cute because maybe she's like this just with him. She wants him to really hang out with her. He doesn't know that this is her, this is how aggressive she is and that he should say no. So I saw that as he doesn't know her yet. So, okay, fine.
He's thrilled and flattered.
Yes.
This is someone who is pursuing him. Again, he is buried under family life, and he has a lovely, beautiful wife, but in that relationship they are equals. She is not pursuing him because they're married.
Yeah, she has him.
Yeah, she has him, and not in a way that's shitty, but they are married. They are together. She is not hunting him, and so he's getting off on it. He's getting off. He's kind of worried about the danger, but he appreciates being seen. He's seen for a man. He just got a break.
Yeah. He just got he had a snow day. Now he has two. He gets 2 free days here in a row.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a dalliance, whereas in Alex's mind, it's clearly is much more than that.
Yeah, and again, for someone looking for signs, the fact that he comes back after what was just supposed to be a wild night of passion, now it's a pattern. once is random, twice is a pattern. And of course, someone who is thinking in terms of narrative, in story arc, in symbols. Again, Alex is an editor. Like they're both literary career people, but for very different reasons, right? Like she is reading for meaning and beauty and symbols and things like that, whereas he is reading for how to limit meaning and how to disengage oneself and how to not become involved. And like they're engaged with the written word for two wildly different reasons, even though they're both perhaps reading the same words, and it just, she's on a very accelerated pace because she's looking for something. She's hunting for something, so the second she gets any kind of whiff of it, she's going to go at it full speed, no matter, and again, maybe it's a false clue, maybe it's a false positive, but at the same time, Danny is flattered by the attention. Like he keeps protesting.
Oh my God!
But he's sending mixed signals. He's like,
at the park, he's loving it. Yeah. This is the most. If you saw these people at the park, you'd be so fucking annoyed by them.
Yeah.
Like they're just like
because they're running together.
They're running. They're like wrestling at some point, like throwing leaves at each other.
Yeah.
Yes, playing ball with the dog, but with themselves too. Take the ball away from me.
A little release from normal and romance in the way Dan's presumably not getting it home. Because why would you be wrestling in the park and you're like, set in your ways marriage type something where the wife's just like, no sex tonight. But this is very passionate. Yeah.
Well, it's not passionate. It's romantic. It was passionate the day before, and now it's. What is this? What are they doing? It would
blurring, I suppose.
This is something that, again, from an objective standpoint, is romance, and Alex is clearly.
And I think he's seeing it as well. She knows I'm married, so she knows I'm going to get back to my life, and I don't think she sees it that way. She sees it as, oh, I've rescued you.
Yeah. Well, again, lawyer versus editor. He's doing this because, well, I'm married. I've established this. This is the law. And that clearly limits my engagement because I am married. And that's something that you are expected to know. And she is of course, an editor. She's reading it for meaning. It's like, yeah, you keep saying this. Like your mouth says no, but your hips say yes. Kind of. It's like you're here though.
And they don't lie.
You're here. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They don't. And Alex is picking up on this. He keeps saying things that he is demonstrating aren't true by just being there, by just being present, and so. Yeah, I don't know. Am I trying to redeem Alex Forrest? I don't know. Like, is there a redemption narrative here?
We talk about this at the end because there's a lot to be said about the director and certain things, but like they talk about her, the writer and the director in ways that, like, especially the writer, I would say, where she's like, I don't see her as an evil character at all. Like, it is when you talk about points of view, it's just something else where, they just don't quite see eye to eye type something. But it's also like, he's just. He says it's not like he ever wrote her as like just some like maniacal, just pure evil character type something. She has wants, she has love and needs and stuff, and that's and again we'll touch on this at the end of the director. He has at least 7 films that are very much this, like they're affair based and like edgy, like romance something. And I don't know if you know like his whole film history or pattern thing, but it's interesting that when I was like, this one person directed like all these movies, and so we'll get there.
Sure. There's a moment in the park that's really interesting. Danny's running away like he's going to catch whatever they're throwing between each other, like
the
a frisbee.
Ball.
Yeah, ball.
It was a ball for the dog.
But he plays like he's having a heart attack, and he falls down flat on his back, and then just kind of lies there still.
Funny joke.
Alex sees this and reacts with utter panic and being startled, is very scared, rushes over to him thinking that he is actually having a heart attack, and he starts grinning, look at your face, I pranked you, and she is not happy at all. Begins to tell him that, hey, my father died of a heart attack just like this when I was a child, and it just stops him in his tracks, like, oh, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But then she just laughs it off like, oh, that's a joke. I didn't mean that at all. My father's still alive.
Now we both made death jokes.
Yeah.
Once again, always one-upping him. Like it's like oh, you thought that was funny? Like, oh, it was like check it's like you thought pranking me was funny? Check this out. Just once again, like no act goes unreturned, and always with a little bit more. In any time that she is one-upping, it's got a dark edge. It's always got a dark edge, and here we get the first like real glimpse of it, and the music gets really dramatic too.
Even he does too. He gets a glimpse of
in
it.
that too of like Michael Douglas playing Dad, because there's something at the very end of this I want to talk about. But
Sure.
I think that is critical to something that was in the film in its original form, I'll say.
Sure.
As a circle back on that. But
Very good.
so if we need further evidence Alex is a psycho, it's lunchtime. She's cooking spaghetti up, a very heavy lunchtime meal, mind you. But they listen to the opera from Madame Butterfly for the whole scene as she's cooking up just a meaty, nap-filled pasta.
It makes me hungry every time. It looks delicious.
So, just to get this out of the way, because there's going to be so much references to it, or really just talking about it they don't really go over the whole thing. Madame Butterfly, as a tangent here, it's an opera about the American naval officer named Pinkerton. He married a 15-year-old Japanese girl while intending to divorce her for a proper American wife, as there's divorce laws in Japan were lenient. It was kind of like a marriage of the moment, a convenience, much like Alex is of the moment of convenience type something. But he's going to go back to his wife, his proper American wife, or whatever, at the end of this. And so we already see the movie mapping onto this whole thing, but they're very clearly just doing this in sort of a nakedly inspired sort of thing. So he does so. He abandons his 15-year-old for a few years, says he doesn't intend to come back. And then he finds out that this girl, the 15-year-old named Madame Butterfly, now 18, has had his child. And so in a communication, they get him to come back, to be like, I have a child, come back. And so the American wife agrees to raise the child, so that when the officer and this American wife go to see Madame Butterfly, where she agrees to give up the child and ultimately kills herself, committing seppuku after being unable to have the man of her desires there. Again, we're mapping pretty heavily onto some things here, but Pinkerton rushes in and it's too late to save her from killing herself. And so Dan comments on the opera at this point as Madame Butterfly plays, and they've obviously both seen it. So that's that. That's the background on it. And so Dan and Alex are conversing from this standpoint. They know this opera. They've seen this, and they're like, oh, I like this song. I love this opera, blah, blah, blah. And so this is where they're coming from. So Michael Douglas comments on the opera and how she dies at this part of the song that they're listening to, which is beautiful, and he's telling his memory of it, and how he remarks about how it was a time with his father, and how it was one of the only times his father was nice to him, which is bleak, but fathers from the 60s or whatever, Michael Douglas is from,
which is a very important part of the movie, because when he says that, it just kind of really affects her. She, at that moment, I feel, fell in love with him. Yeah. She officially fell in love because he just shared a personal thing about his childhood, and she loved the fact that he shared it with her.
Yeah.
And so now he has a soul. She knows about his childhood. She knows the history of him and his dad. Now, when he walks away, she looks at him like, I am in love. I am officially in love with him.
Yeah. And again, though, one of those moments when there's just two totally valid ways of understanding that is objectively true. She's looking for signs. Wow, someone else whose favorite opera is Madame Butterfly. You've got to be shitting me. Wow. But also the moment in question, it's when the Japanese wife commits suicide and the father, wants to, maybe shield his child from a scary moment, and he remarks that it's his favorite play, and it's the one time, one of the only times when his father was nice to him, and so is it his favorite play because he appreciates anything about the play, or because it was a moment when his father was nice to him?
Right.
It's like the play just might not have figured on him at all, but it was a moment that he had with his father, and those were rare. But what did she pick up on? Did she catch that? No, she heard he was scared of the woman that the main character is having an affair with committing suicide. And that's what she heard. And so she's thinking, he won't want to leave me.
Yeah,
because
I can see that.
he won't want to see what happens. Ooh, like these are two totally different ways of reading this. It's like,
But
yeah.
that could have also made her fall in love.
Yeah,
because of
exactly.
that too.
But it's also why it was far more meaningful for her than him,
Yeah.
or very meaningful for him, but not in the way that it was for her. And so
Well,
it's
for
just,
him, it was this realization or this memory that he remembered, because he walks away and he's not even looking at her. He's thinking, oh, and he says it to himself. She just heard it, but to her, it was like, oh my God, he just shared this wonderful thing.
But again. Or did he? Was he just saying it to himself? Was he just lost in his
I
own
think he was saying
recollection
it to
of it?
himself.
It's largely just talking in that sense. Like, she's living his life, but it's interesting because when we talk about how fast Alex's feelings happen in the love, think about how fast this is like a very condensed relationship. They've been on almost 3 dates at this point, if not 4. They've been on coffee, and it was going to be coffee. It turned into dinner. Then they went out salsa dancing. They went out to the park. Now they're having pasta and stuff. And in between, they're fucking each other's brains out. And so it's just like this is all happening very fast. And for Alex or for anybody, I mean, you can interpret it in the way of like, we're dating or something in this sort of sense.
Yeah, because they're getting along so well.
Yeah. She thinks that they are having a whirlwind romance, whereas he's just in a whirlwind. He's just and that's the difference. Like, it's just he can just be swept up by a powerful woman. Whether or not he is attaching any meaning to it is another question entirely.
Right.
And
Well, and that comes up in that same lunch.
Yes. Well, she comments she only meets interesting men that are married, and asks Dan what he's doing here if he's happily married. Is that what you're talking about, or something else?
Yeah, because of what you just said. They're both coming at it in different ways, and then it comes up at lunch because she's about to ask him those zingers, and he's like, "Oh crap! I didn't expect this at all."
They're frequently both at the same location, but they're almost never at the same place.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of like semantic like quibbling way of like differentiating it. Like they mentally they're never together. Like they're never in the same headspace ever. But even though physically they're in the same room a lot of times.
And after she what I say, when she fell in love, when he mentioned about the dad, now they're sitting down eating, and her personality is shifting. She's getting sad now because she knows that this is about to end, and she doesn't want it to because she's fallen in love. Yep. And the reality is setting in, and you can see it in her face. You can see it the way she's talking about stuff, and where she's just kind of being lazy with her silverware and the lunch. She's having to ask these questions now. Doesn't want to, and yeah, so anyway.
She's at a Sunday and feels Monday looming.
Yes.
Yeah. She's like, Dan kind of is just like being like, of course I can't make my wife. I get married. She's terrific. What can I say? Type stuff, which is not what Glenn Close Alex wants to hear here.
Right.
But again, you almost quoted it exactly when asked. So you got to go back to your wife, and his response is, "Well, I'm married, so what can I say?" Again. He doesn't say anything with that. He doesn't say I'm checked out of my marriage or I'm committed to it. He doesn't indicate anything.
Right.
Like
because these are direct quotes.
What can you say? You can say we cannot do this anymore. You cannot be in my life. Please don't bother me. Please do not call me in my apartment. You could say he could have said all those.
Right after, he could say let's not fuck or do this again, but they fuck right after.
Yeah.
So
well, because she hasn't done anything insane yet.
True.
She's just had made him a nice lunch. And he is being the man, he knows they're going to bang afterwards because it's Saturday.
Yeah.
So
I know,
you know,
what making me spaghetti while you're apart.
yeah. So she because I think from what I understand, unless you have it written down, like the conversation she has, so then what are you doing here? He's like, wow, you know how to ask him. She says, no, I'm serious. What are you doing here? If all that is so good, what are you doing here? I want to see you again. And he's like, well, that's not possible. And she's like, oh, okay, something like that.
Well, he says, oh, it's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, it's not.
Not that it's impossible.
And then she just says, it's just my luck. And she drinks her wine, and then he continues eating. And then I think that...
And she really has not reacted in a, explosive way or anything real, negative towards him yet. Like, I think we, as the viewer, clearly see where she's kind of souring a bit on this. Or, I mean, again, she's got a looming case of what's to come here. But when they fuck again, where we again see Michael Douglas's ass, the Michael Douglas ass,
and a lot of her boobs.
Just keep those tally marks. Yeah. Puts his pants on. Yeah, that's where we see it this time. We get some Glenn Close boob again. She was very in the interviews I've seen. She was like, I don't feel it's exploitative. I think it was part of the movie type something. She was very proud of her titties. So don't feel bad about Glenn Close's boobs being out. She was fine with it. But
I never thought it was lurid at all.
Not at all.
Adult sexuality.
Well, I guess in the age of the Harvey Weinstein scandals and stuff.
Oh, well.
If we need a direct quote from the actress like we do, Glenn Close is like, these are fine. My titties are great. Really, don't worry about this.
Yeah.
So, enjoy these titties worry free.
Well, and this is where it comes out to the directing and how they directed it. They wanted it to be very, very real. They've just had sex and they're about to have an argument. So they're not going to be watching how they look. They're mad. It's shifting, and it was very real. Yeah. So.
Her hair is pretty real in this movie too. It's pretty wild. She talked about how she was like, how would I do my hair for this movie? And then she just literally talked about how it's going to be wild. And so it gets pretty crazy and just out there and not really done necessarily. And just at times it's just a note too, because I feel like from here out it starts to devolve in the hairstyle too, as well as her mental states and these things happening, grabbing at knives, all sorts of things. Just something to keep an eye on. But Dan's like, well, fun fuck, I gotta go deal with stuff at home. Which,
I like how you summarized it. It is spot on.
Well, he's like he has to go. He literally is like, I got stuff to deal with at home, which I have in parentheses. He probably remembered he has a fucking dog and he doesn't like to clean up shit, presumably. But Alice hates this. She's like, this is not. You didn't just well, see you later. I mean, big gulps, huh? You didn't just dip out on me.
Yeah.
She tries to rip his shirt open, uses her little ineffectual fists on him, then pouts on the bed, tits out. She just is.
So this is the first time there's just a little bit of physicality to her being upset.
Oh yeah.
The first time.
It's one of the only times she's upset in his presence, I noted, because like I said, she's very calm and in control for much of the time. But I feel like she doesn't have control in this moment because she knows he's going back to his family, and she doesn't have it, and so her mask slips.
Yes.
Her power slips because she doesn't have the control and the dominance that she wants to have here. She doesn't have leverage in any way also. So when he's like, I'm going to go, she doesn't have anything to say don't. She can say don't. She's like, please don't. And then she's like, I'm going to hit you a little bit. Oh, here's my tits out or whatever. But he still goes. And so she doesn't have the power. And that's part of why she's very upset at this. So.
Yeah, because when you said earlier, when she talked him into going to the park, she was just a little aggressive and then he gave in. Well, this time she's trying it and he's like, no, I really have to go. And she knows it. And so she's gotten to that tier and she's never had to go past it. But now she's desperate because no, he's leaving. What else can she do? And I think she says a quote.
Well, she says something about how she'd respect him more if he tells her to fuck off than justify himself here. So she does, when you talk about how he's hemming and hawing, or he's like, oh, what can I do? Or, really not making it clear that he's in and fully in with his marriage. She's like, well, either tell me to fuck off or I'm probably going to keep pursuing you type something. And so he says, and it's again, he's misunderstanding the scenario, what's going on. He says all right, well, you can fuck off then. But instead of respecting you more, she kicks him. And he's like, oh, so that was a lie. Well, he just fucking kicked me.
Well, again,
exactly.
he was...
You just lied to me.
Yeah, excuse me. Like,
Yeah. Well, he basically just mocked her a little bit, and it just kind of like jokingly, it's like, okay, fine, go fuck off.
Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
Well, but
You know,
he didn't
yeah,
really
yeah.
want to say it, though. He
No.
wanted it to end. What he wanted is the typical guy thing is, we banged all weekend. It's amazing. Like the Motley Crue song, don't go away mad, just go away.
Yeah.
And so
if
he
it
just...
were the gay world, I'd be like, oh, I'll see the stringer party of the gay bar later. And the
Yeah,
gay world or something,
that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
And so when she said, well, then just tell me this and then I'll be fine, he's like, I don't want to say this, but you're making me, okay,
Right,
fine.
right. I mean-
and then he says it. And then she gets mad. So he's like, okay, well, she just made it easy for me. She just shoved me with her foot. Fine, I'm leaving. So now he's like, okay, unfortunately it ended on a bad note, but it's over.
Yeah. Just, like it was a whirlwind affair. She caught feels. Womp womp. Oh well. Time to go back to work.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
before he leaves, he has to like get dressed and
Yeah.
shower or whatever.
He already has his pants on by then. Remember?
Yeah.
He saw his
Oh,
ass
that's
when
right.
He pulled his pants up. He was pretty much fucking ready to go.
Yeah.
And then we see Glenn Close somewhat like crying and asking him not to leave while holding her hands behind her back. When we're like, oh, what could that be?
Yeah.
My guess was a knife, having not seen it
Yeah.
before. But as he comes over to comfort her and kisses her, she keeps her hands, or she brings her hands to his face and starts to cover it in blood because she slit her wrists, and this is what's happening. And so, as he's like, as you said, sort of fully getting ready to leave, that's where she has gone into the kitchen and is like, oh, I did a thing, like,
Yeah, she doesn't know what else to do to make him stay, so she's thinking,
Exactly,
what
yeah.
can I do to make
she's
him
trying
stay?
Yeah. And
Going
this
to do this.
and just a lot of thematic threads really kind of unite in this scene. It just
Extremely
she's gonna one up Danny. It's like, oh, you wanna disappear from my life forever? Well, let me show you something, and slits her wrists.
I'm gonna make you stay.
I'm gonna disappear from your life like a motherfucker. Oh, I'm gonna one up you on that.
No, I think
Again, very nakedly Madame Butterfly, which is why I called this out.
Well, and also again, her world is narrative, and if her favorite play is Madame Butterfly, that's not good because she's either the woman that he's going to leave with or the woman that he's going to leave behind.
Right.
But at this point, I don't think she was going to kill herself. I think she wanted him to stay, and she wants him to take care of her.
Well,
fatal.
Again, the scene at the park really informs it. He hurt her, and now she's going to hurt him.
Yes.
But better, but even more so. Gonna put some edge on it.
Yeah.
Literally this time. But yeah, again, just a lot of dark themes are kind of coming together. Madame Butterfly, her being masculine and always one-upping, always dominating.
Yeah.
And the domineering, because it succeeds. She gets him to stay. Like, he gets around. He rushed her to the sink. I put a question mark because, again, I'm having sink sexual hang-ups. And gets her. Maybe she loved it as the sink water rushed into her wound.
Well,
I don't know. I can't say.
Well, again, disturbed water. That is Alex's element.
She is disturbed and has water.
But yeah, now that she has done this, he is now in her element again. He is now in the whirlwind again, and she has him again.
Yes, she does.
She did what she had to, and it worked.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Night out by the time we see he gets her bag to cover her tourniquet. It's night out, so he has clearly stayed at this point, we see, and he's comforting her in the bathroom. So she got her way. She's keeping him there, even though she had to do extreme measures to do it. And then we see Alex is sort of resting in bed. We think she's asleep here, and Dan talks to his family on the phone.
She
on her phone.
Yeah, she's quiescent. She is still.
Sure.
She's still, not calm. She's not calm. She's not peaceful. She's still. And that's it.
Well, the way I saw it was, she got him to stay. She won. Mm-hmm. But now, how can she go back to sane in his mind? What can I do? Because I've gone so extreme, I've gone so psycho, but he stayed. Now I need to think of the next plan to make him back to see me as normal again. So that's what she's thinking.
It's very,
is how I saw it.
possible because she's just sitting there in bed, not doing much, and I think he doesn't see her eyes, so that's why he assumes she's asleep in this sense. Yeah.
But also just kind of has psychologically it just decompressed extremely. She went way the hell into extreme territory, and now she's going way the hell in the other direction. It's just,
because that whole conversation after he gets off the phone with his wife before he leaves, everything she says is what the perfect person would say in response to everything. Like, hey, are you going to take care of yourself? Yes, I'm going to take care of myself. Are you going to be okay? Yes, I'm going to be fine. Thank you. I'll see. Like everything is just sweet and nice because she's trying to kiss up again. Like I need him.
Backtrack that a little bit.
Yeah. I need to backtrack because
my cards too much here.
Exactly.
I don't know if she's trying to kiss up. I really think that, again, they're just seeing this in totally different ways. I think that she has seen that she's taught him a lesson, and now he understands. Not that she's trying to kiss up, but now he understands. I think it's a different dynamic, because I don't think for her to kiss up would be that she feels sorry for what she did. She doesn't. She doesn't think that it's wrong what she did. It makes total sense to her.
Well, I guess I didn't mean kiss up. I meant she needs to fix this. She needs to be the sweetest person.
Sort of image remediation, but it's interesting here what it shows the scene, because I don't know if you've seen How I Met Your Mother, but there's a cute little example in the show. Maybe I'm misplacing this. But it talks about how in a relationship you can be the ham or the eggs, and how the chicken is participating in the breakfast. It's made the eggs, but the pig is committed to it, the breakfast. He's the ham. He's in there. Like, that's part of his body. And so, like, Alex is shown she is the ham and the breakfast. She's committed, whereas Dan is like, I'm participating in this. Like, I'll lend some egg this to the breakfast. But she is like, no, like, we are committed. And he's like, no, like, this is just a thing. Like, we're just doing this.
In kind of a really dark, perverse way, he has taken her virginity. She is bleeding for her losing her innocence. There's lots of rich symbolism going on with it.
But in the end, I think in his mind, he's thinking, we both said that we're discreet. So we both have agreed that this is just going to be a thing, and then we go back to our lives. Right. So that's what he's thinking, and that's why he's not as...
He's probably clinging to that like a thread in his mind.
Yes.
But discreet has two very different meanings, and again, it's not clear. It's not clear.
Yes, I know, but I think
it's not clear. It's not. I don't think he understands what he agreed to, and it's clear because clearly he's getting much. This is becoming much more than he ever could have expected. He clearly. He didn't know what he was getting himself into, and I think that's
no strings attached. Just like I'm getting up, so whatever. You really want.
But what does no strings attached mean? Does it mean literal strings?
No breastful and flirting afterwards.
Yeah. No parachute ripcords attached. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
So Alex is resting in bed while Dan talks to his wife on the phone and tells his wife he loves her and stuff. And Alex, we sort of see, has heard this, obviously. She's laying in bed and has heard this and clearly would not like this as it was. But we don't really see much more. It's now morning, so clearly Dan stayed the night to care for Alex and to make sure she was fine. Yeah. He then goes home and musses up his own bed to look like he slept in it because he's a dirty, dirty slut.
Yeah, what he's having to do to create his lie is becoming more extensive. He preemptively calls his wife at Alex's apartment just to get ahead of her, wondering where he is.
Which again, in a pre-caller ID era, I guess great. But other than that,
but it's just now he's like actively lying as opposed to just like trying to catch up to what he was doing.
He's assuredly cleaning up a lot of Quincy shit and piss because he stayed the whole night and
And so in this part of the movie, I would love to get y'all's take on this. Are we on his side hoping that he covers everything? Like he has to mess up the bed, he has to eat stuff out of the refrigerator. He's doing all the things that I could relate to and go, okay, this is what I would do. Come on, Dan, you got this. Cover it all up. Everything will be fine.
Again, this is again why this is one of the many reasons why this is such a brilliant film is because the film sets it up to where Danny is the protagonist and the story unfolds with him, but I never felt like the film was rooting for him. I never felt like the film was just like, go Danny, go.
Yes.
Oh, let's see you scramble about your apartment, trying to
honey outside your marriage.
No, the director with interviews with the director, he said, the toughest part about this movie is how are you going to root for someone who cheats on his wife in the first 10, 15 minutes? So that they know he's done something bad.
Yeah.
So now where do you go from here?
At this point, I was kind of rooting for him only because the wife seemed like a good person, and the child, his child seemed like a good person, and his family life seemed like a good thing, and so I'm rooting for him because I'm actually rooting for his family. I'm not rooting for him right now because I'm actually like, I don't want him to destroy his family, and so I guess I'm rooting for him in that sense, But
you're like, you schmuck, like you fuck up your thing you've had going and probably spent a long time crafting and building, and a whole weekend where you just tore weird blonde curly woman sex hair.
Because he takes the spaghetti out of the refrigerator, gives it to the dog, so his wife will think
give his adultery spaghetti to the dog. Delicious leftover crazy woman spaghetti. Lunch spaghetti.
To conceal the evidence. Basically.
But we see Dan working for a while too. He's clearly done what he needs to in the house. He's blown off his weekend work. Obviously, he hasn't done fuck all. Why he stayed back was to work.
He basically recommits himself to his life with gusto. He's like, oh God, my life. Oh, it's so great to be in my life again without this crazy woman. I'm going to go to work early. I'm going to start working at 6 a.m. and I'm going to get there before my secretary. And then when my wife and child get back, I'm going to be so happy. And he genuinely is. And really holds her in with a degree of almost urgency that she notes that
real
wow, what's a
phenomenon.
Again, she asks him, what happened to you? Again, asks him the exact same question.
She said
one the second time.
No, she says I should be gone more often.
Well, she says that afterwards when he explains I'm just really happy to see you, and she's like, oh well, I should go away more often then.
That's so interesting. So he is again asked for a rabbit, and again dashes a child's small dreams. They're just their tiny dreams.
Well, not as much as he's kind of joking about it now. They have a really they have a funny moment where it's like, oh, he said the R word. Oh, what have you done? It's adorable.
R word.
It's adorable. Well, not that one.
One's gonna make it a comeback in 2025. I'm like, oh no.
Well,
oh my God.
Jesus. Yeah. Anyway.
But
Lordy.
He lightly dashes the child's dreams. I'll say,
but he's not like, oh, the place is turning into Noah's Ark. What the hell? Right. He's now he's it's different. It's very
because he has a little guilty conscience now.
He does, and that's why he agrees to go see the house in the country that I viewed yesterday. If he can be back at the office by 1, he stipulates. But he's he's very much like, okay, let's make you guys happy. Let's do this. I've had my thing, and so. They see the house. He says he likes it. He kisses his wife, and he's back in the office where, oh my God, fucking Alex is waiting on the couch.
And just sitting there like she's been waiting for hours.
Okay, so right before that, let me just say one tiny little thing. After when he recommends to go to the house, I also think that in his brain is, I need to distract them from just having it quiet at home because she might find something or hear something or see something and question it. I have to immediately distract her so she will be focused on that and forget about everything else. And then she says, oh my God, and it works. So I think that was another reason why he was so gung-ho about it.
I get that. I saw it as him being 2 feet in on, again, marriage and what she wants, because she's been a buzz on Twitter about the new house, you should come see the new house, And he was like, oh, I have to work this weekend, I can't. And even on the phone calls he's had with her, she's like, oh, it's beautiful, you have to come see the new house. And so he's sort of recommitting himself. I think you use that verb admirably, Tommy. And he's ready to go do this and to be beholden to what she wants. And so... But, fuck, Alex is here in my office. And so he's like, oh, come into my office, crazy person.
Well, and also, like you just said, he was with his wife and beholden to what she wants. And now Alex is back and he is beholden to what she
pulled
once,
another way.
or at least now that's the implication.
Or there's
again.
something lingering. He thought it was over, and now it's lingering.
He's basically getting passed from one strong woman to the next, just again and again and again. And now Alex is back, and it's this whirlwind.
So this is my personal favorite scene in the whole movie, because the moment she arrives, at first it's the receptionist at the front saying, "Oh, somebody's here to see you." So now in his head, and I don't know if it's just me because I've gone through all this before, but he immediately thinks, "Oh crap, the receptionist probably has questions about who this is and why you know her." And then as they're walking through the hallways, there's his friend. So now his friend is probably going to ask him afterwards. So that girl that you were walking to your office with, and then
the friend that saw Alex first,
Right.
the friend that saw Alex
Didn't
first.
I know you or something? I don't know if it's a scene or whatever, but that definitely happens.
Yes, and then right before he goes in the door, a third person, which is Martha, or
his assistant,
his
the secretary.
assistant, is looking like. And all with her eyes looks at him and says, "What's going on? Who is this woman?" And he hates that all these people has seen Alex walk into his office. He hates that she's there. He does not want her there.
Worlds are colliding, Jerry.
Yes, and he closes the door. So he's this is such an amazing scene. But anyway, sorry.
No, I mean, it's very that. It's I don't know if I'd use the word humiliation, but it is something of like it's exposure. I suppose I'd say. And so he's like, get to my office. And all these people essentially are seeing him. And he's like, kind of trying to put his hand up over his face type something, like cover up this up. But Alex apologizes for having put him through that the night before because, yes, you should. Frankly, you stabbed yourself strategically to keep me here. But she invites him, clearly not reading this rumor situation again correctly at all. She invites him to go to a showing of Matter Butterfly on a Thursday night, which, of course, he declines. He's like, I am a family man, and my wife is back, and my life is back, and this is a Thursday, and like, why would I do this? You're just an associate editor that like I banged a few times or something, and again, viewpoints are not aligning. It's not seeing this relationship from the same angle. We're getting Dan's perspective mainly as the protagonist, but it just is, from Alex, she looks crazy at this point. Again, it's very easy to write Alex off as a crazy person or as something like...
well, when she walks in, she goes in, and when you see all of her emotions are, I'm going to show him how okay I am, how not insane I am.
That's true. She's very calm in this.
Very calm.
She, again, as I call out, really only that one night at home with the wrist slitting and the whatever else where she really fucking loses it.
Yes.
She's very power play with him and calm otherwise. And so this is a very calm thing she's doing. She's like, I'm in your office. I'm sorry about that.
It was a one-time thing.
Tickets to the show if you'd like to go. It's very, yes.
Yeah, because he even asked her, "Hey, so how are you doing?" And she doesn't say fine. She says, I'm fine. I'm really good. Like she wants to just pour this wonderfulness on him to where he forgets about that one crazy night. Like, she wants him to think, that's not Alex. That was a crazy thing. This is the real Alex. That's what she wants him to think. And so when she's there, and then, she asks him, the scene is my favorite because the way she says it, when you see like every frame in this, she's there and she sits down and she prepares him almost like, sit down. I'm going to tell you something that's going to blow your mind. And she says it so excited that he's going to say yes. I have 2 tickets to Madame Butterfly. Mm-hmm. And she thinks that's going to be the trigger for him to go, oh my God. And she's like, 2 weeks from Thursday, just as a peace offering. And then when he's like, I don't know, she's staying positive and she's like, no strings attached, no strings attached. She knows that there are strings attached.
Well,
she knows.
She's the string. She's the string attached,
And the moment he says, I don't think it's a good idea, you can see it in her face where she's trying to stay composed and keep that smile, but the frown is overpowering the smile, and you can see it in her eyes, and it just breaks my heart when I see that, because I'm like, I have been where she is right now mentally, and it's terrible.
It's very true. You shouldn't send that one last message on a dating app. They haven't replied to the last one. But you're like, but I really like this person. So you should want more, and this is humiliating for you, and you're like, and it gets further humiliating in her sense where she's like, okay, and she like stands up and like offers a handshake, but Dan, in a fantastically mixed message again, that he could have probably ended this right then and there, he pulls her in for a hug instead.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't fully cut this off. He doesn't head this off. This shows he's still a little bit in. He's not fully keeping her at arm's length, but kind of quite literally. Like
Yeah, because when he says no to her, there at that moment, that was the reason why she was there, is to check on him and then just invite him to this. Yeah. Once she has run out, her plan has run out of options because he said no. The moment after he says no, and he just sits there, she sits there, and you can see it in her head, like, what else can I say to stay in this room just one more minute? I just need to be around him one more minute. She's addicted to him now, and there's nothing to do. It's such a wonderful scene where she's just like, well, and you can see how she's taking her time with saying nothing by going, well, I guess I'm going to go. And at that moment she says that, he's like, yes. And he stands up, and then you're right. She does like a handshake. And I honestly think at that moment, he's not thinking of her. He's thinking, now she gets the hint that everything is going to go back to normal. So now I can actually try to leave it with a positive spin to where she doesn't think I'm a terrible person. Yep. And does a mixed message.
Yeah. And leaves a string attached, if nothing else.
Well, and again, just it real subtle. Like the last thing she says to him is like, "I'll see you around," okay? And he just says very, very softly, just like, "Okay." And again, you objectively that. You could read that two different ways. He's just kind of putting a period on that sentence, like, someone asks you a question, you just respond, "Sure." Just it's kind of like a blue thumbs up on a Facebook message. It's just like that. Just what does that mean? It's the most minimal kind of acknowledgement. Maybe that's what he meant by it, but she probably heard, "We will see each other again."
There's hope. Yeah.
There's that door is open, just a crack, just a slither. Yeah. And again, just again,
I think we've all been there. It's like they didn't say no. They didn't say for me to go to hell. They sent me a blue thumbs up, which means there's hope. There's a 1% hope that they're going to see me.
I was on the phone with a friend for like hours, like a few months back, just pining for this guy, and everything. He was like, everything he told me was like, this guy does not want you, but he's just like hanging on. He's like, what about this interaction? What about this? What about that? And it's like,
but
you gotta see it. And Alex doesn't see it. You don't let yourself see it because
they know
you really fucking want it. You just Glenn Close is nearly 40 at the time of she's filming this, mind you, and so I don't know if she's said to have an age in the movie, it might be 36.
Yeah, the character mentions 36.
36.
Yeah, she's nearing the age of like potentially or feeling feelings of maybe I won't have a family or children or this or that, and so there's a lot of emotions that are about to come up from her, if not already. This why not me type stuff.
And again, this is where like just watching the film again, I just kept on wondering: is there a way of reading the film that redeems Alex for us? And I guess it would have to be just being lonely and getting older. Man, that's scary. That's scary. And this is where this is an adult horror film. That is just pure non-supernatural adult terror right there. Of just
she's literally looking in the window at a happy family or a hearth or whatever.
Yeah,
she can't stand it. Like she like screams and runs off because she wants it to be her. She wants something or like
she's and this is where it's just. This is where one can sympathize with even this character. She's a late 30s woman, unmarried, no children, successful at her career, but unsuccessful in love. It's kind of a classic tale. And
that's why still like in this part of the movie, that's why it is not a ridiculous movie, because you can understand, he's making all the, now that we're breaking it down, questionable, actions and reactions to her, but she is not just insane. She has fallen fallen in love,
Yeah.
and for whatever reason, and we're just wanting to know more about her.
Yeah, she is not unintelligent.
Right.
She is a functioning adult. She's
Yeah.
holding down a career in the big city. On paper, again, on an objective sense, everything makes sense. But again, she's not a monster. She's not a villain. But just can any person go from point A to this? And maybe that's the horror element of the film, is that like anyone could be that.
Yeah.
As crazy as it is, perhaps anyone could find themselves in that if they're desperate and terrified existentially enough,
That's what the film does well, is showing like maybe just one step more into this crazy situation, or perhaps he'll love me now, or just the fact of, again, that they both are talking almost past each other at times, or they see this ending differently, and so the way they're talking, they don't necessarily connect fully on it type something. Because I think if you do interpret, again, Alex is having a very successful career in life and this or that, she's gotten almost everything she wants. Now she's run up against something she can't have, and you can interpret it as almost childlike and tantrumish, or again, because if you do this very slowly and step by step, you interpret it just in a sense of like, I've connected with this person, we've almost checked off all these boxes of early relationship, like again, meal, date, meal, like this or that, we're having a great time, we connect sexually and chemistry wise, like I'm sure she could see a life with him, whereas he is never picturing a life with her. He's always thinking about his life and how after this weekend I got to go to the house and we're going to go do this and stuff, and I got to take my androgynous child to the doctor or whatever, or to get a terrible haircut again or something, like just a haircut that is fully undefining to whatever gender it could be at this exact moment. Like,
this is supposed to be a break from his marriage, whereas she sees it as him breaking from his marriage.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Again, those are very similar words,
Different.
arranged in a very similar way, but boy, the meaning is very different.
Yes.
So let's see. At this point in the film, we have a number of moments now. Like we have a very creepy scene of her flicking a light on and off. She is,
Which is a classic scene.
Absolutely. I mean, it's
that-
very.
I've copied it
sad,
before.
flicking the light on
Yeah.
and off, feeling
Yeah.
very spurred like Madame Butterfly herself. Absolutely, at this point.
but it's a beautiful representation of her. She exists in extremes. She is on or she is off. She is in light or she is in darkness. She has something or she does not.
And I think when she was doing that, it's probably the evening that Madame Butterfly is playing, so the tickets are just there, not being used, while he's out with his friends bowling.
He is having a great time bowling while this is happening. It is a fun juxtaposition of like her just like being near suicidal. Frankly,
she keeps finding herself in the position of Madame Butterfly, but she's divine masculine. She's not a helpless woman. She is a man in this sense, and she is fighting back against being told no or not being told yes. Great scene. Very, very scary. Just her dead-eyed, looking 1,000-mile stare.
Sad. Just sad.
Again, juxtaposed with Dane and the schmuck-ass friend out bowling, just having a laugh. Like it's a funny.
Yeah.
And very well done thing.
And also just in the scene before, she's at Danny's office and she is just totally exposed. Like his office is just filled with pictures of his wife, and there she is making a complete fool of herself, desperately trying to save face when that is absolutely impossible. And then he's with his friends, and he has the perfect life that she clearly very desperately wants for herself and with him, and she does not. She has nothing. And she's just sitting there in darkness.
Yeah,
like,
and we see that
shit.
in real life when somebody is asking for advice, like you said, your friend, where they're like, well, what do you think of this? And it's like, this person is not thinking about you. They're not thinking about you at all. They are out partying, and you're over here just whining about this person.
Yeah.
You know, the juxtaposition's always there.
Yeah. And I mean, and you can't force them to, as much as Alex tries through this. That's really one of the lessons of this movie is like, as much as your obsession may be there, you can't force these same feelings on somebody else. You can't cram them down their throat and or subsume yourself into their life. Be like, I'm just going to slip right in where your wife was or whatever.
Well, you can do all these things, but or you can certainly try to, and she does.
Yeah,
she tries real hard at all these things. But we're now in a moment of the film when Danny is being haunted by Alex. She is calling. She's cold calling, calling the house. She is now starting to resurface, and in a way that is very menacing. But it's just her presence. This is
well,
again,
she has something to tell him, so she has another reason to want to have to see him, and it's very urgent.
And she's calling just a bunch, and like we see him in the office when she's calling once, and he's just like, fucking tells the secretary to like, if she calls again, maybe just don't answer that or do whatever. But like, I also have in my notes here for some reason, he has an entire jar of sharpened pencils on his desk, like 19 fucking like extremely sharp pencils. Like, again, maybe this is pre-mechanical pencil life or whatever. Like, we're smoking indoors. We have 19 sharp pencils on our desk. Like, clearly in a 1987 lens, this is probably normal, but I'm like, this is like little weapons. Like, he's got a little.
This guy's a real pencil freak, isn't he? Jeez.
God help you.
Yeah.
You need to write something. It's like 18 of his pencils break. He's like, don't worry, I've got another one here. Like,
Yes.
one right here. Oh my God. Like,
I do. That's why I'm like, are they talking about me? And I have quite a few in my
how did this
office.
happen? Yeah, in the age of mechanical pencil, he's got to
Just say what's on your mind.
drag her. But yeah, he tells the secretary, like, hey, maybe don't fucking put her through if she calls again. And so we cut to Dan's wife. Again, I'll mention this in my notes here soon. I still don't think we've gotten her name at this point in the movie. We've got to be over an hour in, and we cut to Dan's wife. That's what I call her in my notes. Dan's wife in her underwear, brushing her hair, as Michael Douglas tells her how beautiful she is. But then the doorbell rings, and it's schmuck friend and his wife? Prostitute?
Wife.
Okay.
Wife.
There was one, like, I don't know. I had a question in one point about this. Like,
it's the cheaply dyed blonde hair, I think, that really does it.
Yeah.
He makes a joke about ball and chain, and it's straight guy humor in the 80s or whatever. I'm sure the wives love that.
And I think he's kissing all over his wife because he's now appreciating her because he finally got rid of Alex, so he's now appreciating what he has at home, going, oh, look at how beautiful she is.
There's a moment that the two have where we see his wife in a sexual light for the first time in the film.
Yeah, she's in her underwear brushing her hair. That was the thing when he was up behind her.
At the beginning of the film, she's just kind of in her pajamas and she looked like she just rolled out of bed. It's one of those moments where you're just at home with the family and your hair's down and you got your chanclas on and you got the clothes on from yesterday.
Ready,
you know.
The first time she was in her underwear and clothes, and that was when she had Ellen like put lipstick all over her face, and that was where she was like, "You silly girl," and I was like, "You silly what?" Like, and that was like 6 minutes into the movie where I was like, what a cute little boy watching Nickelodeon or whatever.
And we see her in her nice, cocktail dress for the party that they attend when we first meet Alex. But then other than that, she's just in housewife clothes. It's just comfortable pastels and lightly colored clothing, or denim blues, just not a sexy color palette at all. And this is the first time in the movie when she just is a sexual being, when she's just presented as a beautiful woman that Danny is enamored of.
She also, for better or worse, really doesn't have a lot of agency or characterization. Like, we don't get like a job she has or something else. Like, I'll talk about it at the end. She kind of represents something in the director and in some people's mind and how this all plays out and stuff. But we don't get a lot from her. Like, she really is not heavily characterized besides being like a choice. He has a choice. Dan does between. Beth.
Sure.
Her name is Beth again.
She's just a more low key person than Alex. It's not that she's boring. It's just Alex is so crazy that it's just compared to that. Of course, she seems simple, but I mean it's not true. It's just and again we start understanding just that is not true as the film progresses. Like
happy, I mean they're at a happy dinner party. They're so happy
because he's getting promoted, or they think he's getting promoted.
It's something like that. And then Michael Douglas and the schmuck do a racist samurai impression and a call back to the book. scene, which is
Yes.
so fun. Love that.
These goofy moments of
This is where I
80s
say,
Japanese.
so at this point, I'm literally realizing I
references,
do
yeah.
not know the name of Beth. I think I pick it up from a subtitle, but I'm like,
I
manic at this point. I'm like, what is this woman's name? Like, you've not said this.
Honestly, I'm fascinated by this now. I kind of want to just watch it again for this because what a great element if they to deny her a name. It just you cannot make a person a background element faster than just not giving them a name.
Yeah.
And
she's in like, a scene real early, and then they ship her off to go do the house things, and like she'll call back and be like, "Hey, honey, you're not fucking anybody, are you?" And that's her bit. Like she doesn't have a name because it's like, he'll say, "Hey, honey," when he picks up the phone for her.
Yeah,
He doesn't say, "Hey, Beth." He doesn't say whatever.
Yeah,
so it is an interesting just bit that
interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
But so Beth, I have in my notes here again, wife mom goes to pick up the phone when it rings as the dinner party continues, but whoever's on the other line doesn't say anything. We don't really get the heavy breathing and like I guess Scream or some of these other movies that happens, but nobody says anything. So Beth's like, hello, and we're obviously meant to assume this is Alex.
Yeah.
Of course.
Without ever being stated, of course. Yeah.
And again, like you were saying, how she has to always one up. They're having a great dinner, because they're just talking over each other and laughing and everything, showing how he's just moved on. Things are happening great at work. And then here comes the phone call to kind of do the wah kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I think he notices, right, that she answers. I can't remember.
I honestly don't think he does. Yeah. He's telling a story. Like he's living up.
He's letting it ring, hoping that no one picks it up, but then his wife does pick it up. And,
that could be true. But I know he's definitely. I don't think he's not like actively like looking and worried at the thing because I honestly don't think he even thinks that will happen. I think he thinks he's put to bed several times. He really does think with Alex, it's like, okay, we're done. Yeah. But Alex never hits that moment. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, Alex never talks to Beth.
Yes.
Never says anything.
He never responds. And I mean, he is surprised here because the next thing we see Michael Douglas in bed, and we don't really get, I have in my notes, but not Michael Douglas. And sad face. And then the phone rings again. And we don't get like a clock necessarily, but the phone rings on the nightstand, which again, just a hardwired phone on the nightstand, just another
loud
situation.
Yeah.
That ring is loud.
Man, yeah, that's true. Boy,
and
that's.
So he picks it up and he's like, "Hey, it's fucking 2 a.m. Who is this?" Like, and he's still aware enough though to pretend it as a business associate. He's like, "Hey, Richard, yes, those transactions."
Yeah.
I don't think I have the resources to answer that right now.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's covering. He's trying to.
And we don't even see Beth stir or anything, but he's very much still in his like,
She is not going away.
Yeah.
But yes, he pretends it's a business mail associate and talking vaguely. I should also mention in this scene that Glenn Close's nipples feature extremely prominent. That white tank top was not doing a job, its job, mind you. Like this was Rachel on Friends, like quality, like nips out situation. So, good for her. But Alex convinces Dan to meet up the next morning at a train station, which again he could say no, sort of. I think she does does she leverage him at this point? Like,
well, she keeps calling the office and won't leave him alone.
That's probably why. He's probably like, I have to like put a stop to this or something. She doesn't like firmly like be like, I'll blackmail you or whatever.
Yeah, no, because he walks in the office and she says it's her again, and he's like, put her through to my phone in my desk, and he's like, what? And then she's like, I have to see you. He's like, why? What for? Blah blah blah. Just meet me here or something.
And so they do meet up the next morning at a train station, probably against his better judgment. But Alex both says she loves Dan, and then she tells him she's pregnant. And both of these things, obviously, to Dan are like, oh, wow. I love that.
What terrible news.
Yeah.
Both times.
I hate that for us. And he's like, you don't take Plan B or something? Or like,
Well, this is what, when Tommy, everything that you're saying about, they're not necessarily colliding. They have these two stories going on in their heads that are not connecting. And this is the point where they voice those things and he has to set it all straight and go, oh, no. Why do you think we're in love? And then she keeps bringing up, well, we had the whole weekend together and we had this going on. And he's like, but this is what it meant. She's like, this, but what about when this happened? He's like, yeah, it didn't mean shit. And she's like, but what do you mean? And he's like, no, blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, none of this is working. All right.
She's still pretty calm in the scene too, though, like because she talks about how like she's like, I'm gonna keep it regardless. He's like, oh my god, he hugs her at one point. He's like, honey, I'll pay for the abortion, and she's like pushes it back, and she's like, no way I said this. That was really going on here, and yeah different wavelengths on that.
Oh yeah, because she, he's when he says all that, she's in her head. She's calm because she knows she's about to throw this torpedo at him. Because in her head, and this is what I'm thinking, just from my perspective, from previous relationships, when you really want somebody, she's thinking, how can I keep him in my life? And then when she realizes that she's pregnant, then she's like, this is it. So now she's a little more calm.
It's a very interesting note if she is.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, she alleges that she's pregnant.
And she gives him a card of her, quote, OB, call and he'll tell you. And so that could be fucking anybody.
Well, and later he does, and he says that the OBGYN just said, well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Again, that doesn't confirm anything.
No.
Yeah.
So we don't know. We fundamentally don't know if she is in fact pregnant.
But with her mind
and her leverage,
yes,
really playing it as if she is.
Exactly. So then when she says that, yes, he cares because he's like, okay, well, I did make this mistake. Well, I did do this.
It's very compassionate in the moment when his first response.
Because he thinks, oh yeah, we're gonna get rid of it, and then that will end it, and we can close this door.
He both cares, but also he's probably thinking, I've been very careless, so yeah, this totally could have happened. It's totally plausible that I knocked her up. I've been very careless about everything else, as I'm discovering, and so yeah.
And so then when she says, oh no, I'm keeping it, and she sees his reaction, now she's like, I have him again. I'm winning now. And then that's when she starts pouring onto him, hoping that he'll go, you're right. Let me leave my wife and kid and everything and be with you and raise his child, because he doesn't know what else to do. So he gets mad, and she's like, no, but especially when he says the line, we're going to have to live with this forever. And she's like, doesn't that sound wonderful? She's so into it. Like, let's make this happen.
Very much so. And it's one of the only bits that doesn't almost exactly map on to Madame Butterfly going up, because Madame Butterfly offers the child to say, you can raise this child with, your wife. I just want to see you like last time or talk or something. Alex, of course, does not make that offering. And so it's a much more difficult decision for Dan, who probably could, and nobly, the way he reacted, the child be like, I'll raise this child with my wife, or like, who knows? That would be complicated to get in itself.
But again, Alex refuses to be Madame Butterfly.
Alex would not do that, and
she
wanted to. That's what's interesting here, too, is that, again, there are so many beats that map on. This one in particular does not, and it's a very telling thing with Alex in that regard.
But it's also a moment when it's starting to get it's beyond just she's edgy and alluring because of it. Now she's making threats, and like the last line of this scene is like, you play fair with me, I'll play fair with you.
It's also interesting that Butterfly is 18 and she is 36. She's literally twice the age of Madame Butterfly. She, in this direct scene, says, it might be my last chance to have a child. And so whether or not she's for real pregnant, she's certainly leveraging it as if she was. And Madame Butterfly could have given up a child and had many more children. This is a almost last-ditch situation, and it's being treated with the same urgency and direness as if it was the last-ditch situation for Alex, for better or worse here.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's always, maybe she really is acting with this kind of urgency, or is she being diabolical? And I guess the answer is both. Like it's always both. Like it's just there's kind of an earnestness to her desperation, but also this kind of she's playing games. She's playing dangerous games, and it's always at the same. It's always simultaneous, and so it's just why it's so complicated.
Because she's very calm and domineering in the presence when she has the attention of Dan, but she's melting down or plotting when she doesn't, essentially, and so it's a very interesting bit. We only see the mask slip the once in the movie. I noticed of her again with her letting like her extreme emotions out, or the actual like sort of lunge out, like you need to be with me type something, where everything else is like almost calculated. And so it's very interesting in that.
Yeah, she is in that sense discreet.
She is.
She is careful in kind of a fucked up way, but she makes these surgical intrusions into his life that get more careless. So she starts slipping in this way. But yeah, let's see, where are we at the film? We're kind of midway.
He doesn't want the kid born. We next see Dan break into Alex's apartment. Which
Yeah.
quickly, you mentioned the key thing. When he reaches for the key, it's not there, right? Does Alex basically has she removed it to be like, I think he's coming for me? Like,
No, I think he does grab it.
Yeah.
because he fucking busts the door in on her. Like, it seems like he knocked, and she opens a little, and then he's like, bah, and he like kicks it in.
Oh, well, the second time.
Yeah, the second time. That's later.
Yeah, that's later.
Is this later? Okay, hang on.
No, this one she's not there.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
right. Dan breaks into Alex's apartment. That's right. Okay.
There are
He's
two
rifling through her things, including her bathroom and a Rolodex.
Yeah, there are two dramatic intrusions into
You're
Alex's
totally
apartment.
right.
Yeah. The first time he sneaks in.
Yeah, and he doesn't know what he's looking for, really. He just
he's
needs
just
something.
looking around. Like, we see him find a pregnancy test, for instance, which is unopened. So either she had two or she's lying or whatever. Whatever.
But there's one in her apartment.
But she has a pregnancy test.
And there were also basically what I gleaned were prenatal vitamins in her medicine cabinet.
Maybe, because I saw something like zinc.
Zinc,
something like
prenatal
I tried to figure out
vitamins.
what it was, but then it's just supplements. Like, I didn't know it was prenatal.
So again, there are clues that suggest that maybe she's telling the truth, or that she's just trying to get pregnant. Again, it's not clear.
Okay, so I have to say this because we've said it multiple times. I don't want to be those guys that immediately think, oh, it would be too terrible if she was actually pregnant, so let's make excuses of how she cannot be pregnant.
Oh.
She probably faked the card. She created the card. She printed it out. She got her friend to be the OGB1. What if she's just actually pregnant?
No, that's the thing. Again, two radically different interpretations that are both valid given what we're seeing. Like it's like she could be 100% pregnant, but it's just
it's what we've seen to date that lends.
We don't know.
She's so crafty and manipulative to keep him where she wants him.
But she's also been painfully honest. It's both, at the same time.
So the way I see it is, once he mentions it to his friend and he says, "Oh yeah, and I called her doctor," and the guy's like, "What did he say?" He said, "Congratulations." I'm like, "Okay, well that confirms it." To me, that confirmed it. Yes, it could be wrong, but to me, or she's pregnant.
Or an OBGYN has had panicked men calling throughout their career. It's like, well, attaboy.
Well,
that doesn't indicate anything, but it's just like,
have a fun weekend, dude.
Yeah. So, anyway.
So prenatal, there's another one, so maybe she had a second one.
But also finds a newspaper article about her father that actually died in exactly the way that she claimed was just a joke, and so
okay. I said, she had an article about a professor that died young of a heart attack. So that was her
dad.
Well, again, his name is Stanley Forrest, but. Again,
if it was like a previous obsession she had, because I was not tracking that.
I don't know. I'm trying to remember if I saw a picture of her as a little girl and him.
No, it's just him.
It's just
so once again, there's something there. There's like, well, I guess this indicates what it should indicate, or.
Notice it. I'm very curious what it relates to, because it has to relate to something, and you might be right. It could just be the father.
So to me, I think what it means is her father really died, and it was a terrible thing. When he pulled that joke, she can easily manipulate and cut feelings off or turn them on, that she can make a joke about it just to beat him at that moment when it's really true, showing how manipulative she can be, where she can just put feelings aside when it comes to stuff like that. Once she's obsessed with somebody.
Well, and also it hurt her in a way that he could never have guessed at.
Very true.
And it's just, boy, that's a theme in the film.
Yeah. That's how I
for sure. Like she felt honest real, actual pain, but he had no way of knowing that would have happened from what he did. Like, just, yeah.
And so we see Dan and Schmuck Friend discuss the legal issues about as a child next. It comes back to that family law situation where essentially Schmuck is like, oh, well, you're kind of fucked. Like, but they talk about how Alex keeps calling the house, where he's clearly like, hey, this is a situation now. Like, this is not just like, I don't know, we'll probably put this out. This is we'll just stamp out on that fire. Like,
and this is the first time we've actually seen him telling somebody that he knows closely and opening up to, hey, I did this terrible thing, and now this is happening.
So this scares Dan. He doesn't want to lose his family. We see Alex still trying to call Dan, but finding out his number's not connecting. He at some point has fully disconnected the number and was like, well, that's enough of that then. And she tells the operator, she's like, but wait, you said he changed his number. This is an emergency. Can you tell me his number? And the operator says, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I can't share that with you, whatever. And Alex goes, well, then fuck you to the operator, who retorts, oh, my place or yours?
Hey, girl.
Which fucking tickled me pink because, like, I heard, like, a little sassy, like, I like to rewind and, like, listen to it. And it was literally, like, a guy that had probably been told to go fuck himself, like, 1,000 times in his, like, telemarketer life. So he just has this on tap. He's like, oh, my place or yours? Like,
a phone operator in New York City. Yeah, he's been told that multiple times that day.
Not the first time he's been told to get
exactly.
fucked.
And I'm sure she does drag on amateur night every week. Yes.
And that man's name is Lady Bunny. Wait, what? Anyway.
That's Matt the waiter. Dan is so zoned out, he's walking, nearly gets hit by a car because he's clearly a lot on his mind at this point. But as he arrives home, he finds Alex on the couch with his wife, just chatting away.
Alex again, one-upping him and then some. It's like, you break into my life, I'm gonna break into yours. Like, let me show you something.
Well, no, not break into her. Well, I guess in a way, but he's trying to leave, and she's like, no. I'm going to stay attached to you.
Here's what lends itself further to my name conspiracy thing here. This scene, she fully introduces, she's like, this is Dan, this is Alex, and they are like, hello, we have names and we introduce each other, and then Beth just sits there. And obviously Dan knows her, that's his fucking wife, and clearly they probably have met because he walks into them, but it's just like, she doesn't get a name, she doesn't fucking get a name. Everybody introduces themselves in the scene, and like, Beth is not getting a name in this situation. She's a tertiary background character. Again, she's almost like a consequence of what's happening in this game between Alex and Dan type.
She's the innocent. She's the innocent.
She's very much the innocent.
But also it's and now that you've brought this up, it's a great device that they use to make it put the focus more on Alex. It makes it difficult to concentrate on his wife because you don't know her name. And so
like,
she's just
Beth. You're like, oh, poor wife. Like,
she's just still in the background, even at this point of the film. Like, just
And his wife Beth also, adds all of that tension because you don't want her to have her heart broken. You want to take care of her, and here's the cause of it, which adds so much suspense and tension, especially in this scene.
The person that could shatter it all is like right there with the porcelain doll or whatever.
And now playing games. Now she's playing games and she's loving it. She's loving it.
But again, Alex could shatter it, but also Danny could and has perhaps already done that. Alex is clearly a menace, but so is Danny. Like, he's a menace to his own family. Like, he doesn't know how to handle this situation because he invited this in. Like, he doesn't know what to do. What does he do? Like,
up until now, outside of the cheating part, he's making all the right decisions. Like, and even when they had the coffee, and he said, she said, "Are you discreet? I'm discreet," and he said, "Yes," and she says, "I am too." That was sort of their agreement. And then once it was over, he's done everything to get rid of her. It's her that keeps coming back. So in a way, he's making good decisions now by what he's telling her. Mm-hmm. Maybe not physical things like when he hugs her and stuff, but he's pretty much telling her, go the hell away. I want nothing to do with you, over and over again.
Well, pretty much. but he is not actually saying that, and that's the problem. Like
he pretends not to know her.
I guess he's kind of, but
Alex is
you know.
insistent. Like, Dan's like, I don't know you, and Alex is like, no, we've met at the party. Like we know each other.
Yeah.
And like, she's very.
She's being coy. She's playing games. And,
she's loving it.
And then when she extends her hand to shake her exposed, slit, like scarred up wrists, again, playing some dangerous games, because just begging someone to ask about what happened.
Yeah. And then, of course, to seal the deal, the wife says, we're moving. So now she knows that they're moving.
She's unintentionally divulged lots of information to this threat.
Inquiring about the house and like buying the condo or apartment.
Yeah,
that's why she went.
Because the wife said Alex told her she's having a baby, and it's like, oh my god, fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, playing dangerous games here.
Yeah, so she goes over there pretending like she's gonna buy it.
Dan's stomach drops into his toes in this scene, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she says, I really like it. Yes, I really like it, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, the wife says, well, we're moving. Let us give you our new number. And so he's like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
And so, again, at this point, is like, well, let's put a stop to that. And so he comes to Alex's place demanding to talk, which, rightfully so, this is crazy town banana pants territory, what Alex has done. And the incredible speed and breadth in which she's done it with. Alex says she just wants to be part of Dan's life, but Dan says she doesn't get it, and is very much not having the physical advances that Alex is making, because she's just still trying to be like, but Dan, remember, you love me. And so,
another great moment, or like another like just awesome line, like when she is confronted with all this, and she says, well, Dan, I will not be ignored. Just in a way.
You want me to just be? No, I'm not going to be ignored.
I
can't just move on.
I can't do justice to the way that she inflects it, but it's both an accusation and how foolish. How foolish of you to think this. Well, of course I'm not going to be ignored.
Well, the cool thing about this scene is just the very beginning, because he walks over there, which she wanted. She's like, I'm going to go to his place. I'm going to scare the hell out of him. And now he's going to come to me. And guess what? He does. And she's expecting him, because the moment she opens it, she has a little smile and she has her little sexy nightie on. She's like, oh, we're totally going to bang tonight.
Yeah.
We're going to fight and then we're going to bang. And she opens it. And then, he walks in and she's loving it. Oh, would you like some wine? Would you like to drink? She thinks it's going to be a date. And then he cuts through it by going, cut the shit. And then it scares her and she turns around and then she's like, oh, he wants to play this. Okay, well, let's go for it.
And she says, again, when this tone changes from like, oh, fuck me, to like, oh, we're fighting, Alex says something mildly alarming, which says, go ahead and hit me. If you can't fuck me, why don't you just hit me? While Dan calls her sad and sick. And it's like, oh my God, this poor woman, like, when we're to sort of infer there's past abuse or something going on in her, like, characterization of life or whatever, it's like, that's a fucked up thing to say. Like, use me however you want, daddy or master, whatever it's like, sub kink or something is, but she just like, because she says, like, I just want to be part of your life at certain points, and when she says, here, like, just hit me, like, it's a very depraved and addictive situation, I guess, that like
their relationship is based on pure passion, and that can be sex, that could be violence, whatever, pure passion. And so either way, if that's happening, then she has him.
And now, I see her as she's addicted to him. She needs him around, and the more he fights with her, that is him showing emotion to her. So she loves that, even if they're laughing or if he's yelling at her, that shows some type of passion and anger that she is causing. Anything that she just needs reaction from him. That's what she's addicted to, and that's what she's getting. So in that conversation where she says, well, you know what, you just think you can just bang me a couple of times and then leave? I'm not going to be ignored, Dan, which is classic line.
Yeah. She needs acknowledgement.
Yeah.
She and we could talk about this in a film. She basically has borderline personality syndrome. It's just, we can go down the checklist of symptoms. She has borderline personality syndrome, and like the biggest one is just a terror of being abandoned.
It's interesting to think of that lens because in 1987, Glenn Close says in interviews like more recent, she's like, if I had to play this part again, I would do it from a different perspective because clearly there's mental illness in play. Whereas in 1987 at the time, it wasn't that. It was not framed that way. And this was the time where like DID and schizophrenia were conflated, or all these things were very not well understood. And like, I mean, we're not far from 1987 from lobotomies to be like, this woman's acting weird or something. It's
Well,
like
the film does not psychologize anything about her. It just allows her to exist in philosophy as opposed to in psychology, right? She's not a mental case. She is a woman on the edge. And that's a big difference, you know. And again, that's just I think that's just another great reason that the film is why it's so brilliant is that it just puts all this in the frame, and it doesn't.
And has you discussed
it doesn't apply its own theory,
correct,
not in a really heavy-handed way. It doesn't. Yeah.
World.
So.
There's definitely manic in there. There's bipolar. We talk about how calm and assured and powerful and confident she is versus how not in the other type stuff. And I mean, like, borderline is very similar because, I mean, I had a friend with, his wife had borderline personality disorder, and she would wake him up and be like, I took like 40 pills. And he's like, oh my God. And you're like,
Just it exists in one extreme or the other, either in just total wild-eyed passion or just almost catatonia. Yeah, exactly. So.
And this is the first time in this scene where we see him go after her physically for the very first time because he calls her after they have this conversation. She says, I'm not going to be ignored. He calls her pathetic, and she says, don't,
sad and sick.
And then she says, don't. She says, all I want is respect. And he says, respect. And then he starts walking away. So at that moment, she's thinking, no, he's leaving. I have nothing else to say. He's going to leave, and he's never going to come back. So
just because I wrote this down, I thought these were really good quotes. Right at the same time, she's saying, Alex retorts, why am I sad and sick? And she basically says she's not a slut he can bang a couple of times and throw in the garbage. And then she then reaffirms she's going to have the child and that she just wants respect. And that she's essentially just leveraging the fuck out of this power she has over Dan at this time. But she very much, it was, like, I'm not a slut. Like, I'm not somebody you can just throw away or whatever, like something in this. And Dan is trying to, like, he keeps trying to make a fucking clean break here, and he just can't. And he has fully intertwined himself in something that is just like, he did not expect this. He did not think this was going to happen with it.
Yeah, because he was pretty much going in there going, do not ever come over again and be there with my wife. No way. And so when she says respect, oh my God, it like pisses him off. Like, really? It disgusts him.
Yeah.
Well, it's a moment when it becomes clear that she's lying. It's a moment when you no longer don't have any real doubt, like all these other moments about, well, is she actually pregnant? I don't know. It could be plausible. It could be really plausible. Her claiming that she wants respect. No. And it's a pivotal moment. It's a time when he is reasserting herself and she is kind of crumbling.
Yeah, and at that moment,
he's so calmly doing this. I noted this again. Like when she's in his fucking presence, she has his attention. She has his fucking like glow, bask, whatever. She's still mostly always under control here. Like she doesn't seem to want to show Dan her craziest parts still, aside from that one slip again, despite using lots of them to be this stalking, overbearing presence like in his life currently. She's still doing this like almost in the margins where she's trying to show her best face to Dan still. Like
And arguably she wants to be feared and not respected. It's
or anything to keep him there, even if it is fear, to keep him there. So the moment she says that word respect and he tries to walk away, she's like, okay, I've run out of. He has to stay here longer, and he's leaving. So she's like, crap, what do I do? And that's when she says, I'll tell your wife. And that sets him off. Bam! Grabs her by the neck, throws her against the wall, and he says, you tell my wife, I'll kill you. And then and lets her go, and she kind of like stumbles, and then she says, it only takes a phone call. She goes, calls, which I don't know if you noticed, but she just got their new number earlier that day, and she already has it memorized. Because she grabs the phone, she just goes bam, 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 and she calls. She already has it memorized immediately.
God, the olden days were wild. I just have so many people's phone numbers memorized.
Me too. And then, of course, Beth answers, and then she tosses the phone. But that's the first time we see Michael Douglas actually like grab her and like makes a threat. So now she has a new trigger in her mind. Like, that triggered him. Let's do more of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
slams her up against the wall by her throat, saying if she tells his wife, he'll kill her. And so it's like, again, when you talk about just passion, if you just want passion, well, you got it out of him. You sure did there.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, we're just in the middle of this episode. We had a lot to say with this episode, and it went a little long. The total runtime was going to be 4 hours and 43 minutes and change. So that's why this is now the end of part 1.
You know, sometimes it's Friday, people get a drink in their hand, people's favorite movies are on the table, and we chat. So, not a bad thing.
And
a great time.
And this film, it's just that good, and there's just so much to say for it. So we are now wrapping up part 1. The next part 2, is coming up next, so stay tuned.
We'll not be far behind, but thank you so much, video heads, and we will see you soon.